It's a Tuesday here on Splash Play. You know what that means. Time for another Try Draft-a-lon. $4.5 million in total prizes across all the top best ball sites. Underdog, DraftKings, Drafters. We're going to hit all the big tournaments today. Of course, in a quest to catch up and identify all the league winners, potentially, that we saw over the preseason this weekend. Lots of big news, lots of first-team stuff to talk about. Travis Etienne running with the first team was something a lot of beat reporters didn't expect. It's going on, though. But either way, I'm already in the draft room here. Best Ball Mania 22nd, picking the 11 hole with their new interface that throws my design here on stream here for a loop. My LED lights are also down behind me today because the battery, it's like a lithium battery, and the remote that I can only use those LED lights doesn't work anymore. So I don't. That will bother none of you. It probably won't even be a thing that you would notice watching the stream, but boy, does it bother me and my OCD for how things look here. Either way, they were picking in the 11th spot, so we got a ways to go. And really, the big things at this point, injuries going on. One that spooked me a little bit this morning because the wording on it was not great. Darnell Mooney, Raheem Morris talking about his injury that's been ongoing. These guys have a lot of exposure to it. If you missed Friday's stream, Friday's Try Draft-a-lon, I did show you guys all my exposures across Underdog, across DraftKings, across Drafters right now, including some teams I like, how my portfolio is shaping up and all that. So if you want to go back and see that, you can. But basically, right now, Darnell Mooney's one of my highest exposed guys because I've been buying the dip as well. Him going the 90s, 100s on DraftKings in particular. Really appealing still to me on Underdog, still appealing is going to the late 80s, early 90s. With the shoulder injury, Raheem Morris saying that we're just kind of waiting and rolling, kind of a week-to-week basis. I feel good about him getting back healthy and ready to go. When? I don't know. We'll have him back healthy this year, though. We'll have him back healthy this year, though. If anything's ever summed up best ball, that's probably it. We're on the clock here. Puka London hanging around. Brian Thomas. I'm happy to go Puka. The injuries for Matthew Stafford, the back injury, a thing that really spooked me a lot last year. Something that doesn't spook me as much right now, even though he is literally having special vans showing up to give him infrared treatment for his spine right now. He was supposed to go in practice yesterday, Matthew Stafford, that is. He did not go, so maybe a little bit of concern for you guys out there. I'm still absorbing it as it is right now. Derrick Henry here. Drake London with Puka London is a fun combo, and I do think with Mooney's shoulder injury perhaps lingering longer, maybe Drake London gets a little bit of a late surge up ADP-wise, so I'll go with the Week 17 correlation. In fact, one of my favorite Week 17 games to try to target, if you are getting that correlation, a Puka London, Drake London start, and we got a ways before we pick again, so I'll catch up on chats here. Shout out to everybody hanging out live. We got Bindles here. We got Two in the Thoughts. Appreciate seeing him here. Our guy Adam here. Travis Etienne has a strange face. I did AI enhance his face because the image quality is a little bit lower, but he does have a strange face. Kind of looks like an owl. Kind of looks like a turtle. I don't know. I don't want to dehumanize him. But he does. I agree he has a strange face, but a face that is working with the first team, so that's good for him. Mr. Nick, Mooney should be back this season. That isn't great coach speak for an injury. We thought he'd be back week 1. Yes, I agree, Nick. Look, not the most encouraging thing for me. Again, I'm a big believer in Mooney in particular. Believe a lot in what he represents as a player that won't get targeted nearly as much as Drake London, in my opinion, but still should get targeted a good amount, still should be involved a good amount, still should be a good vessel for Michael Penix's very willing downfield arm, which is something for Penix that he has shown at college, shown so far in the pros from the limited time that he got to play last year. So for me, I still am pretty bullish on Mooney, but I definitely get people have some concern about it because that quote spooked me more than most. Other big injury news from this morning as well that I did post in the Discord. Of course, if you're not a member of the channel, make sure to join the channel right now so you get into the Discord where I do drop any sort of football takes, any information I have, anything I'm seeing, any good screenshots from an athletic article that I think is relevant. I try to drop it in there whenever I basically see anything that I think is worth bringing to you guys. But Jordan Love, so he has got an injury. His thumb on his left hand hurts. So he's getting a little bit of a surgery, I guess, that should have him ready for week 1. That's another one that I think if Jordan Love starts to fall a little bit, and I've been in rooms where Jordan Love has fallen into the 130s, I think enough times. If he gets to that Bryce Young, Michael Penix range, I think it's actually a really nice click to scoop up a lot of down the home stretch because we're not really worried about a thumb injury on the non-throwing hand. But also been reports, too, of Jordan Love running a good amount more this year. And I'm not sure how much a good amount more is given the fact he's only run, I think, 3.5 times a game. If he gets you to 5, that's probably a good number, but it's not going to be a total game-changing number. It'd be better. But I'm still thinking for Jordan Love, if he's going to fall in that price range more, I would scoop up Jordan Love. I'd also be willing to do the Jordan Love, Tucker Kraft double dip, the Jordan Love, Romeo Dobbs double dip. Still think Wicks is draftable in round 18, even though I know people are much more bullish on Matthew Golden. Feel like he's getting a lot of the draft capital hype lately from content creators. Even though he was not a great target earner in Texas, the first round draft capital is making people, I think, talk him up a lot more. The point being, there's still backdoor stacks to go to for him. So I think that for Jordan Love, he's a good player to scoop up right now if you're, again, not as afraid of injuries as many people are. We got Puka London, Drake London here. Breece Hall, I would say, not a guy I love, but I do think he was a winner from the preseason that we saw so far. Where Breece Hall, that first drive, you saw Isaiah Davis work in. You did see Braylon Allen work in, but it was still mostly Breece Hall leading the way, and I think that's honestly a good sign for him, a guy that I think could potentially get phased out in certain situations. For Breece Hall, I'm willing to take him at this late 30s range. If you get him at 40, even better. But I need an RB, so that's really the main logic for me here. And we got Kittle, Jayden. I mean, a lot of teams with Puka and Drake London will have one of Michael Penix or Matthew Stafford at QB. That's just the nature of how the top receiver goes in terms of stacking. We've seen that data from the DraftKings Millionaire Maker that we saw earlier in the summer, which I don't think, somebody correct me, by the way, I don't think DraftKings put out any more information about ownership for the DraftKings Millie Maker. So they put out that one update in end of June. Then I don't think they put out another one end of July unless I totally missed it and nobody on Twitter talked about it. There has been another update. One of the biggest revelations from that, though, is that generally the guys like Puka London, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Justin Jefferson, they all tend to go with the QB that you'd expect. Your Jefferson going with McCarthy, Puka going with Stafford, London going with Penix. So by here going Jayden Daniels, I'm hoping we get more unique with two receivers that I do like a lot. So the team so far, Jayden Daniels, Breece Hall, who, again, I think is a winner from the preseason so far based on how I view it. Puka London, Drake London. Like the start so far. Do think Breece for me a little bit weaker at RB than I'd like to get because he's in a committee. I think we could say that. Even I know the biggest Breece fans out there don't want to believe it. Braylon Allen's going to take some work away. Isaiah Davis is going to take some work away. That said, for me, I think Breece Hall is going to be leading that backfield enough to take the shot here. In particular, full point PPR, I think he'd look a little bit better. Adam is heavy on the Packers this year. I think a lot of people are. Look, there's a lot of people who I think are fairly sharp, who seem to be really big Packers believers. I still think what I saw last year was a team that did not have, certainly didn't have a dominant target earner. I think Wicks is the closest thing to that. And I don't expect him to be that great this year necessarily, but I think he's probably more alive than people realize when they don't even draft him. In most of the 18-round drafts going on Underdog. That said, though, for the talent level in the Packers right now, I don't think there's an alpha target earner. Like, I don't think there's a Devontae Adams, of course, historical Packer stuff. I don't even think there's a guy to me like Christian Watson, who I think had the potential to be a major target earner if he could ever stay healthy and showed that his rookie year. He's on the PUP list as well, going to be on the PUP list, it looks like, to start the season. So that's something for Christian Watson, where that feature, I think, is now gone for him with them bringing Golden in. Golden himself was like a 20% target per out run rate guy in Texas. Like, we're not talking about a special earner, at least in that offense in college. And I do tend to think if you earn targets in college, guys like Rashee Rice, even at a shitty level playing at SMU, his target earning kind of poured it over to the Chiefs at a lower level, but still poured it over. If you don't have it in college, I don't know how you really develop it in the pros, but people feel differently about that. Kraft is your highest drafted tight end for guy Adam here. I think I get Kraft. I don't know how he'd be my highest drafted, especially the fact he's been a little bit dinged up in camp, and Musgrave is probably a little more involved with the first team than you'd like to see. But the yak stuff for Tucker Kraft, we've talked about guys, of course, Adam, one of the biggest Brock Bowers believers out there. Guys like Bowers, guys like Tyler Warren in this year's class, guys like Tucker Kraft, that yak ability at tight end, I think, is really important to be able to get yards after catch. So I certainly get it. All right, we got a pick coming up here. Got to switch back. Got these things. Here's the big board window, and then we got the player selection window over here. We got Kamara, James Conner on the board, so 2 RBs. That'll certainly help us make it up a little bit. At receiver, I certainly wouldn't mind getting Odunze or Olave, but Kamara and Conner, want to leave with one of these guys. I'll go Kamara. I was encouraged by Trey Benson in the preseason game as well. Obviously the fact Conner not playing in that game, it doesn't really matter as much for Trey Benson then, because we know he's not, with the starting group, they're not holding him out. I thought Conner showed some juice. Conner showed some life. And I thought there's a chance as well we could end up getting Kamara and Conner on this turn, but we're not going to get that. We got Odunze, Olave, RJ Harvey working with the first team, but might have been because J.K. Dobbs didn't have his helmet, was all the reports over the weekend. We've got the New Orleans bet, but I think Odunze is a better pick to me at this point. I like Odunze a good amount more, I think, than Olave relative to the offenses that these guys are in. Chicago, a team I think is coming along at the rate I expected, where bad camp reports early on, but a team that should get better as they have more time with Ben Johnson yelling at them and getting the offense to click in the way he wants. So I will go Odunze over Olave here, but frankly, I think those guys are pretty close to even in terms of how I view them. I think Liam dragged them pretty hard for that data dump. Be surprised there was another for DraftKings. I guess, but it's not like Liam. I mean, no respect to Liam. I think he's a fine content creator and obviously a BBM winner. More power to him. And I think the guy's great. Like, I think he does a good job. I don't think he has enough influence to make DraftKings do something different. I think it'd be more that they realize maybe a legal thing with it would be something. They obviously been talking to best ball creators a little bit more because of them doing the best ball week stuff. So maybe that's part of it. But it's odd. It's an odd thing to put out one data dump, not put out another. And, at this point now, that first data dump of ownership came out a month and a half ago. So I don't know. I actually was searching the DraftKings network site yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple days ago, because I was like, what? Like, there has to be something out here. Like, they have to put it out, maybe without any fanfare. But I don't see anything. So that's that. Golden didn't even get a ton of targets at Houston. Well, there you go. So same belief. I think Golden's really good. Watched him torch Georgia twice. Yeah, I mean, he played really well in the college football playoff. I mean, that's the big thing I think people remember. That's a lot of people the first time they saw Matthew Golden. And he is fast. And, fast guys. We saw Xavier Worthy, pick up a lot of upside last year for sure at the end of last season for the Chiefs, even in an offense that wasn't that exciting. Mostly just on the strength of being fast and being an okay target earner. I'm just not the biggest believer in the talent there. And I agree with people like Leone, I think said it on Pete's stream yesterday. People are maybe ignoring the fact that Golden did get that first round draft capital. And I think certainly that matters a lot. But, player is a player. Like guys like, Jayden Reed are people that I think I haven't loved for the Packers in the past. Like I wasn't a big Jayden Reed fan last year. A lot of people were. We saw the big spike weeks early on and then a lot of quiet weeks in between. I just think that's how that Packers offense works. And I'd rather get Dobbs for much cheaper, given the fact that, according to a lot of the beat guys, Dobbs is looking fast in camp. He's getting downfield targets more than he's gotten in the past. I'd rather take the cheaper guy, but I don't think Golden, like if you're taking dynasty stuff, I think Golden probably a lot more appealing for best ball. I think he can pay off, but I think the price tag's a little bit lofty for a guy. It's not going to add lots to your projection week to week would be my guess. This is draft number 122 in BBM for me, I believe. So we are definitely in the home stretch at this point. Obviously going to be trying to get enough entries here on stream. Will not be maxing out all of that down the home stretch on stream, but you'll be seeing me do drafters drafts, of course, underdog drafts, and DraftKings drafts down the home stretch of the season, as long as these tournaments are open. 1, 2, 3, 0 here. It's a tough spot for me. Downs, I'm okay with. Mixon, I still think is a good pick in this range. I'll die on the hill of that. Right at ADP for Mixon, he does go up the 90s, good amount. But again, I'm a little bit behind at RB with this Breece Hall Kamara start. Don't really feel like I got a world beater at RB at this point. Deebo Samuel didn't come back to this range. Not a surprise or anything, but there's nothing else that would make me not want to take Joe Mixon in this spot. Frankly, this guy might not taking the receivers like Reed, Downs, took Godwin, who I would have liked. I think it's a down spot for me. Yeah. He's not a big Reed believer before the injury. Now he's also in a walking boot. Just the fact that he, has certainly some outs to playing out wide. Did do it for part of camp. Then that quickly went away, it seemed, for Jayden Reed. I just am not the biggest Jayden Reed fan. I get there's some upside there. I get there'll be occasional spike weeks. But for him as wide receiver 4 in this room, it just didn't do it for me. So the team right now, unstacked Jaden Daniels. I was really hoping there was some way to get Deebo here, but just ADPs, I don't think aligned to make that work. With Deebo's ADP coming up a little bit right now. So we got Jayden, Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon. At receiver, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Romo Dunze, Josh Downs. So week 17 correlation between Puka Nacua, Drake London, and that's about it right now. Still like the team. I think the team is pretty well balanced, which has been one of the goals of, in particular, picking these 11, 12 spots in a draft for me this year. But really overall across my portfolio, there was sort of a shift I've realized when going through some of my old teams, like want to say early June or so, where I really started, I think, hitting the sweet spot of balancing my teams out a little bit better. And I'm trying to carry that through the home stretch here, even though certainly an occasional 0 RB team is fine. Not really doing that a bunch right now. What are we doing, dog? You want to come up? Come on. You can jump. All right, there you go, Kitty. All right, you got to come over here, though. The dog has to come up to sit here for 2 hours. There's Kitty. Say hi, Kitty. All right. Here. Oh, here we go. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Kitty the dog, now 7 months old, about 40 pounds, bigger than Luca. He hates it. I thought we were getting a smaller dog, but oh well. She's cute. All right, let's go to the big board view here. Yeah, Josh Downs, I would say benefiting potentially from just the fact that Indianapolis has a receiver competition going on. Big thing for me that makes me not like Downs, and it's something I know a lot of people disagree with. Um, Tyler Warren being there, Tyler Warren flashing in the first preseason game too, that he had action in. Really something that I think would make me worry about Downs. And like, I personally don't get how Pittman is now going in this 80-90 range, how Downs is still going there. Tyler Warren creeping up a little bit. You still have Alec Pierce there. A.D. Mitchell's been, I think, performing fairly well in the preseason / training camp enough that I would have some concern about target earning there. I'm just not sure that Downs appropriately priced for that. I feel like all these guys should be around 100 or so, just given the uncertainty at quarterback, given the fact that they're all kind of competing in the same range for the most part between Pittman, Downs, and Tyler Warren. I don't think Downs is like limited in terms of upside. I just feel like week to week, I'm not necessarily super stoked about Downs. But let's see what we got with these two picks here. I'll catch up on chats too in a moment. All right. You can see here, a lot of guys starting to get solidified in the top 100. Dobbins, I think maybe people worried a little bit about the RJ Harvey thing, but I would still be happy to take him when he comes up. Fuck, we have a Colts bet now. I feel like I'm locked in on that. We'll take the Zach Charbonnet pick right now. Again, feel like we need a little bit more at RB. There are some reports about Kenneth Walker. He's been missing practice basically all throughout training camp so far for a foot injury that's lingering. He's still coming in and out, like they're giving him rest days for it. Doesn't seem like it's a major issue. I haven't been too worried about it. But, you know, just I think Charbonnet in that offense with what we've seen a little bit so far. George Holani being a guy who spiked pretty huge when Seattle was on the preseason slate a couple of days ago in DFS. The workload's going to be good for whoever is running, at running back for Chicago or for Seattle. So I think getting Charbonnet here when I'm not getting Walker, something I'd like to get more of down the home stretch. 1-4-4-0 build. I feel like a fifth receiver here would be nice. I like Bateman more than most of these guys. Tight end, I think Ingram and Warren would have been fine picks as well. But really want to get the fifth receiver in. Don't want to have to wait for the Kirk Mims range because I think it's possible that gets scooped up before I pick next. So we're going to go Rashad Bateman. So the team right now is a 1-4-5-0. Not really stacked up in the way I would like. Obviously, some QB targets we can hit later on. This guy took Caleb, though, so that removed one QB option right away. We got Jaden Daniels, Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Zach Charbonnet. At receiver, Puka London, Drake London, Romo Dunze, Josh Downs, and Rashad Bateman. Again, I think the team works. Not really any crazy value, though. Not really any crazy stacking correlation stuff. Not any crazy week 17 stuff. So it's not really a special team in any way, if I'm being honest about it. But I think the team works. Why did this guy take Caleb? This guy took Caleb here with Burrow. He's got no correlation. All right. Well, we're in August. Happy August, everybody. Caleb Williams goes unstacked to a guy who's got Burrow and who desperately needs receivers. But that's the name of the game. Sharps fell to 130 for my buddy, and he was worried he missed some sort of injury info. That does happen sometimes where you're in a room and you're like, why does the room keep passing on this guy? And you have to wonder if he missed something. And frankly, like, again, because of just what the nature of this stuff is for me, I pay a really obsessive attention to most of these things. And that said, for sometimes in a draft room, like that'll happen for me. And I'm like, did I miss something? Like, so I think don't feel bad about it. Your buddy should feel bad about that. It's just the way it goes, unfortunately. Shout out to all you guys watching live. If you are watching live, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Also, make sure to go play on Drafters. Use that promo code SPLASH at drafters.com. Right now, they still have their consecutive deals going where if you draft for 20 straight days, you get 2 entries for free. If you draft for 10 straight days, you get 1 entry for free. You also get free pick'em stuff on tap. But the big thing here is that for Drafters, at this point, if you've gotten close to maxing in BBM, got enough entries in on DraftKings as well. On Drafters, your money goes a little bit further because the factors probably be overlay on that site. I think they're pretty desperately trying to avoid it right now, so that's a big thing. Overlay on total points for that, which basically ends up meaning that you end up finishing probably 100, 200 spots better than you would otherwise. So really, for Drafters, that's a big thing on there. I finished top 100, only drafting teams on stream 2 years ago. Finished top 10 in playoff best ball, only drafting 3 teams on stream. That's what I say when I mean your money goes a little bit further on Drafters. On BBM, on DraftKings, you're going to end up competing with a lot of sharp people. On Drafters, there's just less of them. It's just the way it goes. So play on the site where you have shots to win more money. Play on drafters.com. Use that promo code SPLASH. It does support the show directly. And also, they are the presenting sponsor of Splash Play this summer. So please show some love there if you can. We're back on the clock here. QB frenzy going on. Really at a point for me to think about, I think, some backdoor stacking here. I am going to go Trevor Lawrence with this first pick. Because we have a little bit of Indianapolis. I think we can add some Jacksonville stuff on top. And let's see what this brilliant fellow does to the turn. Takes Mims. I got no issue with that. Javonte I've seen falling to 150, which is baffling to me given the fact that he's like more solidified in his role than he's ever been. I'm going to go also a second QB here, Michael Penix. So we got a Jayden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix start. Seems like we got Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Zach Charbonnet as our RB room. Think it's an okay room. Definitely, we're not getting any young, exciting players in the upswing here. I guess Breece Hall, the hope that maybe that he can be the best version of himself in a Detroit-inspired offense would be there. But the team itself, I'm not in love with the RB room, even though like all these guys I take, Mixon in particular at his price, I think he's just underpriced right now because people being concerned about that foot injury. Receiver, we now have a Rams-Atlanta Week 17 correlation with Puka London, Drake London, and Michael Penix stacked up with it. Rome Odunze, Josh Downs, Rashad Bateman. Of course, late tight end can be very plentiful, so we're not hitting that yet. And Trevor Lawrence, hopefully we'll get some stack partners for him later on in the draft, but as of right now, we got nothing. Let's go to the big board view here. QB Piggy. I don't think that's QB Piggy. I think that was just me making up for the fact that really don't love either Well, I like Penix a good amount. I just think really for me, I have been more open-minded to the 3 QB builds more. A lot of my early builds in Best Ball Mania and really across every tournament are more 2 QB focused. And there's been enough convincing arguments in particular for the legendary upside guys with how their sims have ran. And 3 QB is more important because you just don't realize how often you have a QB injury that makes it so you're carrying 1 QB and that QB is not spiking up enough. The 3 QB cabal is strong. I agree. I don't do it in every room, but I think right now I feel like we've got enough at receiver, enough at RB that I could pull it off. So I try to do 3 QBs when I do feel like it's a pure luxury and I can make it work. In particular with an elite QB like Jayden here. But I also feel like the Washington stack not being strong enough. Like we've got nobody stacked up with Jayden. I've got nobody from Dallas either. I just like that correlation strong enough. So I want to get some guys in that hopefully will have some actual correlation like Trevor Lawrence and like Michael Penix. But 3 QBs at this range with Jayden Daniels. You critique me for it, and I don't think you'd be wrong for it. Seems like ATN might be getting traded. Apparently didn't speak because of cramps and Tank tweeted emojis, including lying nose emoji. I wouldn't read too much in everything. There's no point in trying to read into every single thing that happens. It was a little bit odd that ETN got all the first team work. I get people kind of getting conspiracy theory mode about him getting traded. But in reality, like I don't know who's trading for him. I don't know. There's not any big needs out there. I guess you make the case that Dallas has a need because of the fact that Miles Sanders is banged up, Jaden Blue's banged up, but they seem to like those 2 guys enough. And Javonte is their RB1 who they handpicked. So I'm not really, too concerned about that. But I don't know. I think people want ATN to get traded. I don't think he's going to get traded because he offers a versatility that Tank Bigsby doesn't. And I think Liam Cohen will desire that. But that's my read as somebody that hopefully knows ball. We got picks coming up here. All right, so 3, 4, 5, 0. Bretton Strange here. We do want to get some Jacksonville correlation, and we now have that Jacksonville, Indianapolis Week 17 stack. So Bretton Strange, first tight end for me off the board. And I see a couple clicks I can make here. Jerome Ford, Zach Ertz, another one. I think second tight end off the board. Even though I like Jerome Ford here, pretty much right at a little bit before ADP, I guess. Don't think Zach Ertz is going to come all the way back for me. That's the big thing at this point with no Washington correlation. So Zach Ertz, tight end 2. So a 3, 4, 5, 2 build. We've got Jayden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix. Everybody now stacked up. RBs, Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Zach Charbonnet. Really think we should have a 5th RB at this point, but because I took the 3rd QB, that's fucking that up. We got 5 receivers, though. I think this looks good enough for now. Puka London, Drake London, Rome Odunze, Josh Downs, Rashad Bateman. Then a tight end, Bretton Strange, and Zach Ertz, who I think is a strong enough 1-2 punch here to add a 3rd tight end and feel okay about it. But I'm liking this team. I think it's a weird way to get there. Still want to make sure I'm getting enough at RB. Tyjae Spears going to 150 is kind of batshit to me, but I'm losing CLV on that guy. Houston has a need. Again, I think you're wish casting that. I think you're really strongly wish casting that. I also think based on who they've added they have Mixon, they added Chubb, they added Woody Marks. Nothing about that type of back screams ATN either. Again, I get it if you want ATN to get moved. I think you're better off having ATN stick with Jacksonville and being a timeshare. But that's been my read on the entire offseason. Let's see. Jack here got Ayuk at 164 and Rashad at 173 on DraftKings. Have to take that. Yes, I mean, Rashad at 173. Yeah, it still depends on positional need, I guess. Ayuk at 160, sure. At that point, I would hope you have a good 5 receivers in front of him, and he'll add value on. Apparently expect him to be returning in week 6. If there's a delay, he'd be returning a week 8 or so. But the most recent reports are that Shanahan expects him back by week 6. I think at that point, if you're getting him in 160s, yeah, he's more valuable than whoever you'd get in that range. Let's see. Ertz criminally underpriced. I agree with that. I mean, look, Ertz is old. Certainly last year, as you guys know, if you followed the streams, I wanted to go with the younger guy who had good draft capital and Ben Sinnott. But unfortunately, I think Ertz is just too good. Ertz also had the trust with Kingsbury from his time in Arizona, and I think that helped a good amount as well. But then how Ertz played last year, I mean, we could go through Ertz's numbers, and I think they're stronger than people realize. He had a 0.28 EPA per target, only a 20% target per out run throughout the entire season, but seemed like that spiked when the games got really do or died on the home stretch. Would think that Ertz loses a little bit if you have McLaurin, recovering from his hold-in situation / quote-unquote ankle injuries. But he's basically, McLaurin comes in, he'll be in there taking less than he got last year. Debo probably takes a little bit more than a Noah Brown / Diami Brown spot got last year. Ertz, I think, loses a little bit in that equation. But not enough that I think he's incapable of spiking or anything. And really is a red zone target as well. Like he got 1.2 red zone targets a game last year. Jayden, the offense being better, all stuff I believe as well. To me, Ertz is definitely better, I think, than this tier of guys that go in this spot in particular. Jerome Ford almost came all the way back. That would have been nice. Eckler gives us a Washington correlation, though, so we could take that here. Jayden certainly can throw a few touchdowns to Eckler, but no matter what, another bet on the Washington offense here with Eckler. Likely goes. I would have been very willing to take Likely with this next pick. I think we got to make up some projection at receiver, and I think Wan'Dale Robinson helps us do that a good amount. Alec Pierce, I'd also be okay with if Wan'Dale weren't here, but Wan'Dale's been a guy I've been encouraged by the camp usage and all that. I think still he has really big contingent value if you have neighbors who has obviously had a bunch of toe injuries that just seemingly are going to keep reoccurring, like the Kenneth Walker foot stuff we talked about earlier. They're going to have to pain manage it / injury manage him throughout the year. Wan'Dale can spike more, I think, in the playoffs potentially if you do have neighbors maybe shutting down early. So Wan'Dale at 182, I think, is a strong enough wide receiver 6. So the team right now is a 3-5-6-2. We have Jayden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix, all these guys stacked up now. No week 17 correlation for Jayden Daniels, but we might be able to find some down the home stretch. Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Zach Charbonnet, Austin Eckler. RB room definitely needs at least one more, but I think it's okay. I mean, all these guys have roles, and Kamara and Breece Hall and Mixon should theoretically have bell cow roles, unless, I guess, Travis Etienne gets traded there. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Roma Dunze, Josh Downs, Rashad Bateman, Wan'Dale Robinson. Don't love Josh Downs as my wide receiver 4. I think that he's, again, I just feel a little bit less good about him than other people in the market do. But that said, Downs high target earner last year, so I'm probably being more critical of that than I should be. I'm in a tight end, Bretton Strange, Zach Ertz, definitely want a third here. So at this stage, I would guess one more RB, one more tight end, and probably one more receiver, which is not going to be a big surprise for you guys. Wan'Dale turning 140 targets into 700 yards is honestly impressive in multiple ways. Look, he was a low A-dot guy. Russell Wilson's going to throw more moon balls. I think that'll help him out a little bit. Have a nice chunk of Eckler and Jayden. It's a logical correlation. Again, RB with QB, never a bad thing in best ball. Hoping Sinnott takes some work from Ertz this year. Fuck that old bastard. Ertz deserves to go out to pasture whenever he chooses to at this stage of things. But again, Ertz was good enough. Like, he was as good as I think multiple tight ends you can point to who people hold in esteem a little bit more. So I have really no issue with Ertz at this point now that we know it's coming. Still think it's odd they drafted Ben Sinnott at all last year, to be honest, given the fact that there's really good draft capital they spent on Sinnott, and he did have some utility. But I don't think he gets there this year. I think he's also, unfortunately, behind Bates on that team because he's not quite as good of a blocker as him. Which is also odd because Sinnott is a good blocker, but I don't know. Coaches have their preferences. That is what it is. Let's see. Oh, and then Shanahan, yeah, Shanahan did say something as well when talking about the week 6 thing. Return potentially from for Brandon Ayuk was that it could be week 5, could be week 10. But that's Shanahan couching. I think that's probably their goal line markers to get him in for week 6 if they can. But obviously expecting that I think might be a fool's errand. So Miles Sanders is hanging around. He's had the knee injury in camp, but he's certainly a guy that I think will be in the mix more than people want, especially if they love Jayden Blue. So I'll get Miles Sanders here. Washington, Dallas correlation for week 17. Is Miles Sanders likely to be involved for Dallas in week 17? I don't know. I could say that. But he is a guy who's on Dallas and he's available here. So I'm going to take him. We got one more pick left. We've got our 3-6-6-2. Definitely feels like the third tight end is more in play for me here than the 7th receiver. I think Ja'Tavion Sanders is a good tight end 3 for this team. I don't feel confident enough to go with Strange and Ertz as a 2 tight end room. So final team here is a 3-6-6-3, which is really a build I've done more of than I'd like to admit. Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix, all these guys stacked up with some week 17 correlation. So we hit our goal there. At RB, we got Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Zach Charbonnet, Austin Eckler, and Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is one of those guys where, like, you could tell me that Kyle Monnan guy gets there for Chicago somehow because Swift and Roschon both fail. I could believe that. Giddens getting there over Jonathan Taylor because Taylor gets hurt for sure. I could see that. Corum getting there because of Kyron. There's a lot of guys that can really meaningfully beat out Miles Sanders. My boy, Marshawn Lloyd. Ollie Gordon's pathway got a lot better from having Alexander Madison get that neck injury and now be missing the year because Madison looked great in camp. Ollie Gordon's now probably going to get a shot at that power back role. There's a lot of dudes that could beat Sanders out. It's really my one thing I would say. By taking this week 17 correlation, maybe it helps for Washington and Dallas, but really I passed up Sanders, I think, for a lot of backs who could more meaningfully spike in week 17. A receiver, we got Puka London, Drake London, Romo Dunze, Josh Downs, Rashad Bateman, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Feels a little bit thin at receiver. I think the top 3 is good. Bottom 3 gives me some pause. But I like Bateman individually. Downs, a little bit less sold on because of the Colts situation. I think the receiver room could have been a little bit better, but I think it'll play. It works well enough for me. And then Brenton Strange, Zach Ertz, Ja'Tavion Sanders. The big sacrifice here is the 3 QB build. I think if we stuck with 2 QBs with Jayden, I think that would have opened up one more receiver spot. Would have felt a bit better. But, you know, look, the team is a team, and it'll play enough. Let's go to DraftKings next, guys. Millie Maker coming up in the next stage in our Try Draft-A-Lon. I am loading it up in this tab here. And, of course, it is a $15 million prize pool, $2 million to first place on DraftKings. And you will see live how many spots we have here. Here we go. Fast clock. All right, 7 spots. Fill this one on DraftKings if you can, or somebody else will fill it. Doesn't really matter. No, drafters will be the last stage in the journey here. Of course, good time for you guys. If you want to draft me today, go deposit on Drafters. Use that promo code SPLASH at drafters.com. $100 deposit match for you on Drafters. And of course, it's a great site to play on. Total points format. So similar to DraftKings in terms of being full point PPR and 20 rounds, but the total points format gives you a different look. So check out Drafters. Really good site to play on in general because of the fact you're probably going to have overlay and the fact as well that just your money goes a little bit further against some teams that are not that sharp. This guy has to watch every stream of mine, so he is in it. I am the KY is in the 12 spot, though. Glad to see him. If you are in the room, feel free to identify yourselves in chat. If you are a draft stalker, you should probably consider offing yourself. I think is what I would say at this stage. We have passed the point of patheticness. We have not circled back around into being cute or anything, but weirdo in the 10 spot, if you want to follow that. Unbelievable. Oh, if there were 5 people I could kill in the world, I think without any impunity, with nothing coming back to me, the guy into 10 hole will be one of them. So I hope he feels proud of himself. Offer yourself from YouTube and Minecraft. Yeah, sure. Finding myself spending round 17 and 18 picks on the Corum, Brooks, Giddens types all the time. I mean, a lot of people are doing the Brooks types a lot, the Hunter types as well. I don't think those pay off very often for what it's worth. I think it comes down to what you want, though, in particular in your RB room, where if you have, let's say, I don't know, you have like a Jonathan Taylor Saquon build, then you want the big swing on somebody, probably not Giddens at that point, but you want to take a big swing on somebody who could maybe earn a role from a bell cow back. But like, this is something we were talking about in the Discord the other day about the Badge Bros Brawl on Underdog, where you can draft, like, you have a 6-person room, so you're getting all these superstar players at RB and wide receiver and all of that. And like, people still want to take like contingent back plays. Like, you want to take this, like a Gibbs Taylor or whatever, and hope that he usurps Jonathan Taylor's role and becomes Jonathan Taylor. And like, and I get that in a Best Ball Mania / DraftKings Millionaire Maker, but I think people play it too much, and I think they play it way too much in a Badge Bros Brawl kind of thing, where you can have Alvin Kamara as your RB4, and like, that's it. Then you have a guy who might have a 15 to 20 point projection if things work out well the entire season. I still think that's the way you're trying to play things mostly. And I think really one of the biggest issues I've seen in my portfolio over the last couple of years has been when I have too many of those backs that really don't have an actual role, and they're waiting for somebody to drop off, and then you hope they have a role. And that hit pretty big last year for the Jordan Mason drafters. But like, I think that's making people do it way too much this year. And I think people also have misread, like, the Jarquez Hunter stuff is like so dumb to me that people were taking him like 25%, 30%, 40% in some of their portfolios, because they were like, oh, he's the guy that's going to fill it if Kyron goes down. It's like, no, like, Blake Corum is the exact same back as Kyron. So he's going to be a guy that has that value. If you want a contingent play, it's Blake Corum, but nobody's picking him either. So I don't know. I think the contingent play thing is a little bit of a fallacy, but one of my first exposure issues that I had with that was Best Ball Mania. The first year I maxed it out, the year that Karain won, I had a ton of Nyheim Hines, and Jonathan Taylor got hurt that year. Nyheim Hines had 1 week to have a shot at that role. He got hurt, and the role went away. It became a thing for like the Deion Jacksons in the world. And that happens more than people realize as well. With a rookie back as a contingent play, you have a better shot of that back winning the job, and maybe even like, taking it over for like Giddens with Jonathan Taylor maybe. But how many times does that happen? Not enough to take a guy 30% of the time, I would say. Anyway, a Gibbs start here at pick 5. Happy to take Gibbs at this point. Gibbs guy, I feel like really the people have kind of grouped around as a potential 101 kind of player. I see it. I still think David Montgomery's got too much juice overall to reliably take Gibbs over Bijan, over Saquon. Taking over McCaffrey, I think, feels fine. Feels like you're getting the younger version of McCaffrey, though obviously in a timeshare with Jahmyr Gibbs. But I'm still happy to get Jahmyr Gibbs whenever he's coming up, when there isn't a guy I want to take more. And at this stage for me, like, really it's only Chase, Bijan, and Saquon I'm taking over Gibbs. I'm cool taking Gibbs over Lamb. But, over McCaffrey, easy one. Over Jefferson, he's going late enough in rooms. So I think that's an easy one right now as well. Pretty sure Bates is considered a top 2 to 3 blocking tight end in the league. Well, there you go. That's why Ben Sinnott is fucked. How much do I have of the big Q? Quentin Johnston? Not a lot. Definitely none now. I don't even take him with a dip at this point, but if that's what we're talking about with the big Q, I can look at my Best Ball Explorer portfolio real fast. Let's see. And this is a tool I use, guys. I showed you guys on Friday. If you want to see your portfolio, it's a good one to use. You see my Tyjae Spears that are hoping people really don't get too freaked by the high ankle sprain, but unfortunately they're gonna. Quentin Johnston, 6.4%, nowhere above the field in any of the sites. So that's about what I would have expected anyway. But hopefully that's who we're referring to with the big Q. Hopefully it's not a nickname for somebody else. Hopefully it's not a slur for somebody. I don't think you want to be called the big Q. Bucky Irving goes at pick 16 here ahead of Derrick Henry. I love Bucky. I feel like it's asking a lot of Bucky. Again, frankly, it's asking a lot of Genty to go ahead of Achane, Bucky, and Henry as well when you see them lined up like that. It's one of the things the rankings have been off on all year. I like Genty a lot. Genty should be after the projectable guys. Frankly, Bucky's probably been too low going on a 2-3 turn. Him coming up, I'm fine with. But let's see what this gentleman does. He takes Chase Brown. I'm calling everybody a gentleman. These guys are absolutely not gentlemen. We got A.J. Brown here a little bit after ADP. He's been banged up in the preseason as well with the hamstring thing, but I think he's back in practice, right? Limited participant. Okay. Gibbs and Taylor feels a little more potent to me and a little more fun. I'm just not really big on A.J. Brown this year. I think it's one of my issues. My exposure's got to be low for him. Yeah, I've got 3% A.J. Brown. So that would have been a good time to correct it, I guess. Only 2% on DraftKings, 3% on Underdog, 3% on Drafters. I guess psychologically, I might be lower in A.J. Brown than I realized. Should I be? A.J. Brown's numbers last year. They're definitely better than the year before, if I recall offhand. Let's see, A.J. me. All right, really efficient, 0.5 EPA per target for A.J. Brown last year. 29% target per out run. 1.2 deep targets a game. Good for a 1 EPA. That's crazy. 0.8 red zone targets a game. That's pretty strong. Could be a little bit better for a superstar kind of receiver. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I should be this low on A.J. Brown. And the tough part for me is that you just can't get the full Eagle stack no matter what. Actually, this morning in a draft I was doing, I got Saquon and A.J. Brown together, perhaps for the same reason that I'm going through the logic right now. But I couldn't get Hurts with that one either. Hurts didn't come back to 46, so that threw off the feng shui a little bit. I'm trying to think, though, why I would be low on A.J. Brown. I think it's mostly because I'm just not picking in spots where he's the best player. I guess that's it. Feels like a guy you should draft but could burn you for A.J. Brown. I guess that's it. Definitely he's had more of a floor than a lot of guys in that range, which I guess would be part of the equation here. We've gone very RB picky to start with Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, but Kyron coming after, well, he's actually right at ADP. Really no values here at all. It kind of sucks. Ugh. I think we go Garrett Wilson here. So one thing that I was thinking about this morning, which is kind of odd, Garrett Wilson, full point PPR site here on DraftKings. He goes pick 31. So that's kind of odd. On Drafters, he goes pick 20. So which site's wrong there? Because I think that pick 31 is a little bit light for Garrett Wilson. I personally strongly believe he shouldn't go after Tyreek Hill. But that said, like late 20s for Garrett Wilson, that's fine. I think 20 for Garrett Wilson's a little bit aggressive, where he's going like right next to Lad McConkey, right next to A.J. Brown. I think in a perfect world, he settles in mid-20s. But it's odd to me that he would be having like a 31 ADP on DraftKings and a 20 ADP on Drafters. Like, does the total points format make it more appealing? Do people think he won't spike as much? I guess that could be it. But I don't get the logic on that one. With the A.J. Brown talk, his Eagles throw 20 times per game. I guess that's a part of it. But again, like the underlying stuff, like he's still getting targeted a bunch as A.J. Brown. I don't think I should be as low in him as he is, as I am right now, rather. But like, would I take Drake London over him? What the upside is there, especially if Mooney does miss any extra time. I like London a lot more. I think London's got an outside shot to be a top 5 pick next year. If he plays really well this year, he's also got an outside shot at being one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league, depending on how things go. He's got the age going for him. The target earning's been there for him, and Penix should theoretically lead to his best production. So I'm cool with London being ahead of Brown. And I think all these RBs should be ahead of A.J. Brown. Yeah, I think it's just more if A.J. Brown went at pick 22 all the time, I'd probably grab him more. If I get a Barkley A.J. Brown stack more reliably, I think I'd do that more frequently. Oh, well. Anyway, that's A.J. Brown talk for the day. Just one of those things I don't really know if it's like a blind spot for me or if it is just that I value everybody more than him. And those things you got to figure out when you're in the last, 25 days of drafting here? We got 23 days left until everything opens up with the NFL kicking day. NFL opening day, opening kickoff. That's coming up in 23 days. So at this stage, you got to think about your things like, why don't I have enough A.J. Brown? I think more than you probably want to. Let's see. Most leagues don't have them anymore, but how many points should kicking a 70-yard field goal be? I mean, it should be 10 points per, 10 points per yardage. So if you're kicking a 50-yarder, it should be, not 10 points per yardage. If you're kicking a 50-yarder, it should be 5 points. If you're kicking a 60-yarder, it should be 6. If you're kicking a 70-yarder, it should be 7, would be the way that I would think it should go for redraft leagues. But I don't play in redraft leagues, so I don't know if that's actually how people would do it. We got Garrett Wilson here. Really not a fantastic wide receiver pocket. Could go J-Mo for the bet on Detroit. I've really been one of few people I think who reliably takes DK Metcalf in this range. I like DK Metcalf a good amount, being that primary targeter in an Arthur Smith offense where we know he's going to get those sacrificial X looks downfield that he's gotten his entire career. Those were definitely part of the picture for George Pickens last year. But I think, too, the route tree is going to expand a little bit more for him. He has worked in the slot throughout camp a good enough amount that I think that'll be a part of his repertoire that was not there in Seattle. And really for him in Pittsburgh, like who's he displacing from the slot? Calvin Austin? Who cares? Roman Wilson? Who cares? There's really nothing there that's going to keep him from getting used and getting, I think, funnel targets more than a lot of guys in this range. So Metcalf, to me, a guy that I'm happy to get at pick 44. But if he goes to pick 50, which happens enough in rooms, especially in Underdog, I think you keep scooping Metcalf. The Arthur Smith priors, I get and all that. But Aaron Rodgers is going to have the helm there, and we saw what he could do last year in terms of creating spike weeks for both Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. I got to tell you, there isn't a Devontae Adams in this team right now, and I don't think there's going to be this year either. Excuse me. So DK Metcalf to me at pick 44. Happy to do it, and frankly, I think DK Metcalf. I think the bet on Metcalf is pretty similar to Ted McMillan, but whatever. People don't like taking Metcalf. I get it. Pickens goes before Terry McLaurin. McLaurin fall. He's not going to hold down to the season, guys. He's literally talking to the GM on the sidelines right now. I would start to scoop Terry McLaurin more, and I will, in fact, do that for myself here. Wide receiver 3, got to make it up at receiver after starting with Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor. So Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor start, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin's receiver room. We got 3 teams, wide receiver 1s, assuming that McLaurin doesn't get lapped by Debo, which is certainly a possibility the more that he's missed camp. But I like Debo. McLaurin's still the wide receiver 1 for that team, I would think, based on volume. So I like this start. I think this is a good one. On DraftKings in particular, and I think it still plays an underdog, really easy to go 2 RB start here from any of these spots. To go with Bijan, Saquon, Gibbs. Wouldn't take McCaffrey here normally, but any of those 3, if you get them here, grab a second RB, and you're still going to get good receivers on the way back. I strongly believe that, and that does not change because of the preseason. Calvin Ridley, though, I'll highlight here. Would have been happy to get him back. Actually, would have been a tough choice for me if I had McLaurin back and Ridley. I probably still would have taken McLaurin because there was, about 40% of this tournament where McLaurin was a top 30 pick. I think that's why when he gets to you at pick 50, you just scoop him up. That said, Ridley in the preseason getting frequent targets from Cam Ward, getting good downfield targets, putting up, 50 receiving yards and not playing a full game, or not even anything close to it. I think we saw flashes of Ridley's upside that I believe to be there with Cam Ward. And to me, he's a guy that I would say put him in the list with the winners here. I think ATN a winner, even if he gets traded, he's probably even more of a winner then. But I think ATN a winner, to me, that's very obvious. Ridley, I think, an obvious winner. Corum, I would say, an obvious winner as it relates to that kind of shitty tier of contingent value plays. I think him being a guy that's going to get that goal line work that would go Kyron Williams' way is really a huge benefit. I think that being clear now helps out a lot. People think Kyle Monangai a winner. And again, this is kind of all over the board ADP-wise. I'm not sold on that. So Roschon Johnson missed this past game for Chicago with a foot injury. He has been hurt. Monangai has been playing well enough in camp, but it is still, and it's something that Adam Levitan talked about in his Market Monday video, which I think is a good watch from ETR if you want to check that out every Monday when it comes out. Really, even if you just want to watch this week's, it's still timely right now. It gets less timely by the end of the week, I guess would be the downside for that content. But he was talking about how people are really over projecting round 7 RBs more than ever, round 6 RBs more than ever. And I've talked about that really the entire draft process, that I felt like RB, even some of the earlier ones are getting a little bit over projected by people and they're really treating them too valuable. That's really the case for a lot of teams. And being mindful of the fact that Monangai is a 7th round pick, played at Rutgers too. It's not like he was playing world beater teams overall. Just not a guy you normally expect to make a big league up the depth chart, to pass up Swift, to pass up Roschon. Roschon is legit like a man at running back. He is powerful. He also was shifty in college, even though he hasn't shown that at all in the pros so far. I think Monangai is a guy that people treat as a winner, and I don't think he is. Those are some that were top of mind for me that we haven't fully talked about yet. RJ Harvey, getting the weird thing, and I know Pete talked about this at length on his stream yesterday, but not all you guys watch those streams, I'm sure. RJ Harvey basically started the game for the Broncos after Ben Albright, a guy who I think is not always accurate. He was correct on some things about Troy Franklin last year, not correct about everything with him last year in a way that stood out to me. But that said, he was talking about how it seems like RJ Harvey should be a guy that is going to be like RB5 in the list. He's going to get maybe 30% of the work on the year. Then he starts the preseason game. But he also claimed then that the reason he started the preseason game was because J.K. Dobbins couldn't find his helmet, which seems like bag protecting, bag defending, or something like that. But it is something that he did say occurred, so I don't know. Elite tight end here with Sam Laporta, given that we've got the bet on Detroit, I think feels okay to me here. So we've got 3 receivers, 2 RBs of high quality with Gibbs and Taylor. We'll go Laporta for the semi-elite tight end at this point. Ben Albright's a family man, sure. Why is Krosky Merritt about to pass Eckler? Do you know how much this Washington team depends on trust? Again, think about the Zach Ertz and the Zach Ertz versus Ben Sinnott thing. Like, it's a team that's relied on trust all year, that trusts their top backs endlessly last year. I just don't think a rookie, last round pick comes in and takes all this upside. Granted, he's getting some first team work. That's great. But again, the preseason game, he was also behind McNichols, which is what I said should be the case. If they cut McNichols, then I think maybe take Krosky Merritt a little more seriously. But I don't know, man. I think Adam's being sarcastic, though. But people do believe that. And it's like, Eckler was the best version of Eckler we've seen in a while. Pick 77 coming up. I think we should be good here no matter what we're picking. Saw somebody in the chat talking about Tony Pollard before. I think it's sort of a mistake to think Pollard's a better play now because of the fact that really, with how it is with that offense overall for Pollard, he's going to get a lot of work, but he was going to get a lot of work anyway. The big thing is that, number one, he has his own health issues as the year goes on. I think you're more likely to see Tyjae Spears close the year out, as we did see last year. But number two, he's like not a better play because Spears is hurt now. Spears was apparently earmarked to get like 10 touches a game based on what they're saying preseason. That's going to come at some point, even though he's not going to be available potentially week 1, week 2, maybe. And that's, that still might be an outside shot for him to not be available week 1, week 2. So I was hoping Odunze would come back, and he does. So I think it's an easy click here. Would have been happy to take Addison if Odunze were gone. Get the Detroit, Minnesota bet a little bit here for week 17. I think Odunze is a better click than Addison, especially accounting for 3-game suspension. Spike week wise, Addison and Odunze probably pretty similar. And frankly, Addison, I would say winner too. Obviously had Jefferson out for that preseason game, but he got targeted a shitload by JJ McCarthy for the limited time those guys were out there. I think Addison, to me, might be more solidified as wide receiver 2 than it felt like when they took Ty Felton. Naylor's still hanging around as well. And Hockenson obviously can take targets away. But boy, oh boy, they really peppered Addison that first that preseason game in a way that I think he's going to be heavily involved. So the team right now is a 0-2-4-1. We have Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and Rome Odunze is our receiver room. Tight end to Sam Laporta here, so it'd be logical to get Goff this team, but if we don't, I think I'll survive. Like the team so far, definitely need a few things to fall my way to feel really good about this build, but hopefully those things will fall my way. Oh, an ADP, Krosky Merritt's about to pass Eckler. I don't know, man. I think I have to do Pete Overzet's doing his True Serum video again. I have to do one of those videos for end of week if I want to be a part of that video. So I'm probably going to do it. And I've been kind of figuring out what my True Serum takes would be. I think one of them would be that if you're to give me True Serum, I think there's a shot that no rookie pays off ADP this year. And obviously not literally no rookie, but that feels like a kind of True Serum-y take. People have just gotten too excited for rookies this year, and I get it. Like last year, rookies crushed, and a lot of them were ones that I was on early. Your Brock Bowers, your Jaden Daniels, your Bucky Irvings. You guys know, you saw me defending those guys from the moment all this stuff opened up. Taking those guys heavily as well on stream. But I think people got spoiled by that a little bit last year, and there's outliers every year for sure. And and I don't want to say there won't be good rookies, but Travion Henderson, where did he go in this room? He went number 40 in this room. And it's in that game we saw from New England, I would say Ramondre Stevenson was a bigger winner from that game. Henderson showed he had juice, 100-yard kickoff return, looked good in whatever touches he had. But it was still Ramondre getting real RB work. There's a difference between getting real bell cow level RB work and being a gadget player. And a gadget player shouldn't go pick 40. And I don't think Henderson is dust, but he was also a guy that didn't get over 13 touches a game in college at OSU because it was a split backfield. So now you're expecting him to score touchdowns every time he touches the ball, or to get volume that he's never gotten before in his life. And it's probably, not naturally built to get in year one. I just think people have been way too excited for rookies this year. And I think it's going to show when we get to the season a little bit more. And, you know, maybe they all pay off. Maybe the Giddens types, the Hunters all pay off somehow that I'm not seeing. I just think people have been like building too much around rookies, and there's still a lot of projectable vets overall here. But, you know, you can take what you want always. Do we lose out on Fields? Fields still available. I don't want to push Fields around because I think he's an important part of what this team can be. I say I'm going to go Justin Fields here. He's got a 107 ADP, but it's DraftKings here, and I do not trust, even with these guys, having Lamar, Hurts, Allen. This guy's got no QB here. And there's a pretty decent shot that somebody would take Fields before he comes back to me at 101. I'm going to take him at 92. Loved what Fields showed as well. I would say he was a winner of those preseason games as well. The rushing offense looking good. Team looks smart too. You probably saw on Twitter the Isaiah Davis play he made when Fields was running for that touchdown, where Davis ran kind of a fake route, like was acting like he was going to catch the ball, which pulled the DB away, allowed Fields to walk in untouched for a touchdown. I think that's the kind of stuff you're going to see from this Jets offense. Like, Detroit coaches should be smart. They've been a part of a smart team for a few years. Seeing that show just a little bit in game one, I don't think if I were a Jets fan, I would go, this is a Super Bowl contender. I should be really stoked about it. But I think for fantasy, it's going to be a team that scores enough and scores through Fields a good amount. So Fields, to me, I think wheels up for him as a top 75 pick is what I would say he should be. Felt the same way about Jayden last year. But anywhere, pick 90. If you need him, if you have Garrett Wilson, I would just make sure you get Fields. I mean, I've said it on stream before. If you've missed it, though, I don't expect people to watch everything. I think this year's Jayden Daniels is not a rookie. It's Fields, like relative to ADP and what he represents with the rushing upside, concentrated offense as well. Very easy to get Wilson and Fields paired together in most times in a room. I think that's the main thing you should be trying to get. And I think those are total points winners. I think those are spike week potential guys for the playoffs. I'm a really big believer in Fields and Garrett Wilson this year. And that's probably one of my biggest stands of the year, in fact. Dak Prescott hanging around. We have a 2-4-1 build. Jared Goff would also be a logical QB target to take. Joe Mixon at this range as well would give us a very legit RB3 at pick 100. And I think that's too much to pass up. You have a guy who got over 20 touches a game last year at pick 100. I don't know how I don't take that. So we're going to miss out on some stuff here, I think. Though I'm hoping we could maybe push QB back enough. Depends what the room does. But it's a Justin Fields start here with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. I think is a good enough top three. With Odunze at wide receiver 4 is a huge value. Sam Laporta, semi-elite tight end. Joe Mixon at pick 100. If he's my RB3, I think that team is very strong, and I will die on that hill this year. Joe Mixon is my RB3 in so many teams across Underdog and DraftKings right now. And if the foot injury somehow becomes a season-long thing, but if he's healthy week 1, week 2, and that's been all the beat reporters have said this entire training camp period of things, I think Mixon will be paying off way more than most guys in this range. Shout out W for Omega here. Cheers, making a live stream. Totally agreeing this year's rookies feel forced everywhere, but RB and tight end. I mean, I think they feel forced for some of those too. I mean, it depends on the guy. Like Tyler Warren is one guy. I mean, he's come up in this room. This guy's been kind of reachy all day, so I'm not surprised by it. But Tyler Warren at pick 88, it's a little bit aggressive. I don't think you should go ahead of like Ingram and Andrews. But Tyler Warren is a top 100 pick. That's fine. Like it's where Bowers is going last year. It seems a little bit fucked up. But with what he's shown us, like I have no issue with it. I still think he's a little bit overpriced compared to where he would have been if we didn't have that great year last for so many guys who I think are legit great players. Like part of the reason that my bets on in particular Jayden and Bucky were so big, but also Bowers too, was that I thought those guys were great. I thought Brian Thomas was a good play pre-draft. Fell a little bit less in love with him with the Jags situation last year. I think it did take him literally being the last man standing for that offense to pay off. But like I think people too like missed that part of it where it's like, you know, Brian Thomas the first 14 weeks of the year, you're probably happy with him. Like I think at pick 70 to 80, I think he was paying off relatively well. But where he really paid off was when everybody was hurting that team and, you know, Christian Kirk out, Evan Ingram out, Gabe Davis banged up and useless. They then started to feed everything to Brian Thomas. Like that's where the upside really came. So they gave he's like a little bit of a false flag at receiver in terms of like what rookies did last year. But that would be my theory is that people saw rookie pay off so well last year. Now it's like, I got to get a taste of these rookies. And it's like, in reality, the rookies we saw last year were either just great players or they landed in situations that are unlikely to be replicated in the exact same way. Like, I think Neighbors year, and this might be a hot take, and I guess it's not relative to ADP. I think Neighbors year is a lot more impressive than Brian Thomas's year, where Neighbors was over 30% target per out run the entire year. Like, getting open that much, is important. Granted, the room sucked all year too, much like Brian Thomas's did at the end of year. But I thought Neighbors, I don't know. Neighbors has more shot to be really special this year than Brian Thomas does. It's neither here nor there, though, I guess. But we're just talking rookies the second year, guys. That's one of my takes for sure. All right, we got a pick coming up here. Let's see what this guy does. Lure Egg. Darnell Mooney down to a 115 ADP on DraftKings. Way too cheap. But really, if this guy takes Goff for some reason, I'd be fine taking Mooney. This guy takes Mooney, I'm fine taking Goff. I think I win either way in this spot coming up. He's timing out. Oh, okay. Goes up to get Michael Penix, sure. Jared Goff, come on down. So you've got the double stack with Detroit, technically with Laporta and Gibbs. So taking Jared Goff here seems logical. Definitely a completely different archetype than Justin Fields. We're not expecting the same amount of rushing upside for Jared Goff here, obviously. But think that they pair well. I think Goff, too, has a pretty reliable floor. So Fields gives me one of those, I threw 2 picks and got benched games in a worst-case scenario. I think Goff can give us 15 points in those weeks. So I think that pairs. I think Bigsby going at 119 here. Lofty price. Was hoping Mooney would come all the way back. That's not happening, unfortunately. My God, man. Just reachy season here. Ferguson at 120. I feel like for Dallas to pay off their ADPs this year, they have to be a borderline, historically good passing offense. Like, you have 2 receivers in the top 50, 1 in the top 10. Ferguson is now borderline a top 100 pick, it seems, for some people. Like, is a running game just going to score no touchdowns? I feel like that's sort of the bet people are making. But a 2-3-4-1 build. I think I want the 5th receiver the most. Marvin Mims, good news for him in the first game for the Broncos. Was your starting wide receiver 2? The wide receiver 3 role was rotating between Troy Franklin, who was out there really early. So I think Franklin, kind of an interesting late round pick now. Again, after my boy kind of did not come through for us last year. I mean, he definitely did come through for us last year. But that said, Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant, Devon Vele rotating in one spot. But it was Sutton and Mims playing besides that concretely in their own roles. I think Mims has been undervalued as a wide receiver 5 option this entire time. I've seen him go in the 150 in rooms. I still think that's correct. He's a guy that got force-fed the ball last year when he was on the field. Had a not Denzel Mims. He had a 23% intended touch rate, which is pretty high. 30% target per out run rate, which is definitely high. 0.43 EPA per target, and that's with getting a shitty ADOT of 7.1. Mims is like a special player in terms of the explosiveness, the ability to create touchdowns out of anywhere. PPR, cool. Half PPR, I'm cool with him as well. He's just one of those guys I don't think has been correctly priced this entire time, especially right now where you have Higgins falling precipitously in this particular room. This guy reaching a crazy amount to get Keenan Allen. Mims has been locked into a role and being treated as an important part of the offense since week 10 of last year for the Broncos. I don't think you're chasing a moving target with Mims. I think he's just been there the entire time as a nice click. And really, I strongly believe Mims should be a top 100 pick. So if he's your wide receiver 5, I've said this the entire offseason. I think it's a good click. And if he's my wide receiver 5 in this room, even better. So the team right now, we have Justin Fields, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. So very elite RBs early on. So we're not taking a ton of volume at RB yet. At receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. Elite tight end with Sam Laporta, who is now stacked up with Jared Goff. Romo Dunze was our 4th receiver, has a nice ADP value. Joe Mixon, another nice ADP value at pick 100 or so. Jared Goff, got him as a value. Mims, semi-value here. I like to see him. Set it on Friday. And again, everybody's going to like their own teams, I'm sure, and they're drafting them on stream for the most part. I do try to be critical of myself, though, and I think the teams aren't up to snuff or not good enough or whatever. Really happy with how my teams are coming together at this stage of things after being about 400 drafts in at this point. So hopefully you will too. But really, don't forget, again, 23 days left. So if you're trying to max this stuff out, for DraftKings for me, I'll probably get to 60 or 70 entries. Drafters, about 50 entries. BBM, obviously, be maxed out. That's sort of the main things I'm trying to make sure I get done in these last few weeks. One thing I've done in the past, if you have a ton of entries left, make an Excel sheet, count down how many you have to do every day. Because to me, if you have to do more than one a day average, it starts to get a little bit onerous. Follow your hearts. You're all adults. Draft when you want. All right. Picks coming up here. Round 12. Shout out to all you guys watching live. Do appreciate all of you who are here. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Of course, I'm doing these drafts. These tri-draftalons on the home stretch every Tuesday and Friday at 12 p.m. Might be some bonus drafts coming up here on stream occasionally, but definitely no matter what, Tuesday and Friday, 12 p.m., I do drafts on Underdog, DraftKings, and Drafters together. And the draft stalkers can come out, whatever. Who cares? We're still going to keep doing them. Boy, McCarthy. Jesus. McCarthy falling to 140. What did he do? Like, what did he have to do to keep getting picked where he was going for people out there? Like, what did he have to do more? I don't get it. It just seems like such an overreaction. I mean, I've already got my Detroit, Minnesota bet. I have no Minnesota stacking, so I'm not going to take JJ McCarthy. I do have Joe Mixon, though, so I'm going to take CJ Stroud as QB3. That's fine. People aren't, this is the weirdest DraftKings room I feel like I've seen in a while. Because normally it's like people panicking to get their 7 QBs in before pick 150. And in this room, like, there's definitely a QB run. But this side of the board with their elite QBs, they haven't touched it at all. And this guy in the one hole has no QBs, I think. So I don't know what's going on here. Every DraftKings room is like a shark frenzy to grab up any QB available. And this one is just like, no, we're good with our 1 or our 0. I don't understand what's going on. But again, when in doubt, August drafting. When in doubt, it's DraftKings. And at least 3 teams in a room will do something stupid, if not more. This guy timing out. Trey Harris, 144. Hey, good closing line value, I guess. A lot of bad teams in this room. I'm just kind of eyeballing as I go through here. There's a couple that are okay. But like there are like 4 or 5 teams that look pretty misaligned. Yeah, whatever. DK is kind of nuts all the time. That's true. But this is like an egregiously bad one here. I feel like on stream, at least, like I'm normally not in rooms where it's people doing particularly odd stuff. Ramondre's still here. We have a Jets correlation already. So easy week 17 correlation. Ramondre, 24 pick value. Oh no, he has a Q tag in August. How could we possibly draft Ramondre Stevenson? What is this? Has been something. What is the Q tag? Do you like tear his ACL this morning? He wasn't at practice Monday. So he might have come out with an injury. Okay. So he's banged up. Fine. At pick 140, that seems like too big of a discount. Anyway, team now is 4 running backs. I think this team is fairly unique because of the value I've soaked up. Fields, Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor. I think that start alone with Gibbs and Taylor is probably somewhat unique. Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin here. Nice value for getting him after pick 50. That's where he's going now, but relative to the entire tournament, I feel pretty good about that. Sam Laporta, elite tight end, got him as a semi-value. Romo Dunze got him as a pretty big value. Mixon was a big value, even relative to his current ADP in the 90s. Jared Goff, Marvin Mims, CJ Stroud, huge value. Ramondre, huge value. These guys are just drafting poorly. Anyway, Drafters draft coming up next, guys. Get in there now. Promo code SPLASH, drafters.com. I will tell you I'm going to enter the room in the Best Ball main event championship on Drafters. Of course, total points format on there, 20-round drafts, so similar to DraftKings, but different enough that it's worth your exposure and your money. And I think your true drafting capability shows through a little bit more on Drafters. So check it out. No pod luck on there. It's a big selling point if you guys hate that component of things. But a good site to plan as well. Differentiate your action a little bit more on drafters.com. Or download the Drafters app as well. But use that promo code SPLASH, please, for the love of God. Let's get some signups here down the home stretch if we can. And I will also be drafting on Stochastic, another DraftKings draft today, 3 p.m. Eastern. So watch on there as well as we get through our home stretch of drafts on both channels here, the @Splash Play Pod channel and the Stochastic channel as well, which they probably don't need me to plug, but check me out at 3 p.m. on there. Eckler going at 159. Good ADP for him on a PPR site. Goes behind Krosky Merritt here, so score a point for DraftKings. Cedric Tillman's been falling in a lot of rooms I'm in, and I'm starting to scoop him up a little bit more as wide receiver 5 sometimes, wide receiver 6 more so. I think he's a nice click at this stage of things with Flacco likely starting the year. Frankly, I think Shador flashing a little bit as well gives you some encouragement for what could come if Flacco gets benched. Pickett also was pretty good for Philadelphia last year, even though he's not going to win the starting job, it looks like. I think that's a nice time to pick Cedric Tillman if you need that receiver around the 160 range, and he's there. Hollywood Brown has fallen off a cliff as well here. But I am going to go Josh Palmer. Like him a good amount as a PPR wide receiver 6. Frankly, like him as wide receiver 6 and half-point PPR as well. But I feel like pretty good at RB at this point. So just going to pad out some more guys of decent value at receiver and tight end. And then we'll grab our 5th, 6th RB whenever the board aligns. This team is good, though. This room being, I would say, not the sharpest room, I think has given me a good amount of opportunity. And the fact, too, it's like, it's not good drafting going on, but it's not snipey drafting either. So that's been a positive for this room. All the elite QB guys taking QB2 AR, Bryce Young, JJ McCarthy. Those leg up sims like 3 QBs, even with an elite QB, for what it's worth. I don't know if I buy it, but for what it's worth, that's it. In here drafting at work, can't do the chat much. I've sniped you a few times. I don't know who I've sniped you on. Are you, if you were the Nico drafter, I could see sniping you. I don't know who's Philly. Philly Phantom. Oh, Philly Phantom here. I don't know who I sniped you on, but glad to see you here, Philly. You're one of the teams that doesn't seem to be doing terribly, so more power to you too. Okay. Think we do want the second tight end here. Sorry to Philly Phantom now that I know you're in the chat because I feel bad because I know you have Drake May. But we have the Jets bet. Getting another New England bet as well with Hunter Henry feels pretty good. You got to take him at ADP then. I would say the same thing for Hunter Henry, but I'm sorry, Philly. You don't get Hunter Henry either. I don't want people. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Now that there's a human person attached to it and Philly seems like a nice enough guy. Sorry, but I'm going for week 17 correlation with Jets New England. So we get our second tight end here. Don't think we need the 7th receiver yet. Don't think we need a 5th RB yet. Those guys aren't great values. So I'm going to take the value that we got on Hunter Henry. And I do apologize for Philly Phantom now that I know he's in the room and I did snipe him. But Philly, you got to take, if you want Ramondre and you want McCarthy, you got to take him at the ADP, no? Whatever. Follow your heart. I appreciate your positive vibes, though. Glad to see it. Draft Network can't chatting. This guy's winning hearts in chat. More power to him. If you can pull it all off, I'm rooting for you. I know a lot of you guys, I'm sure, like what, 75% of you guys have to be drafting at work, at least sometimes. Do I like Sam Darnold? So I think he's not a bad click in ADP. I take him as a QB3 sometimes because you do have the outs as well, taking Torrey Horton late, taking Arroyo late, though. Arroyo did not acquit himself well in the preseason game. Feel like the lack of blocking really reared its ugly head. And I don't know that I want to take AJ Barner because Arroyo's probably going to fuck that up a little bit too. But you do have backdoor stacks with Horton, Arroyo. If you want to take MVS, you could. Barner, if you want to take him, you could. So I like that as well. The big issue with Darnold, though, is like he can't be your QB2 in a 2 QB build because he might get benched at the end of the year. Basically, if Seattle runs bad, they might not want his injury guarantees to kick in so they could take him off the field and play Milroe. And Milroe is definitely a threat to play at some point this year. But talent-wise, like if you told me that Seattle was going to be competitive for a playoff spot, Darnold's going to start the whole year as a result, I would like Darnold a lot. But with that risk coming in, you like Darnold a little bit less. But, you know, that's sort of what I would say for that part of things. Don't dislike him, but you're taking on some risk because they have a very obvious rookie to go to late. They could also go to Drew Lock late, assuming they don't cut him. Stuff that would spook me a little bit. All right, so we have a 2-4-6-2. We don't believe in Krosky merit, as has been established multiple times. Tight end, a little reachy early here, but Mason Taylor gives us a little more Jets correlation. So I'm going to do that. I just feel pretty good at receiver, feeling pretty good at RB. Know that I want to take some late guys just for volume. But like with Gibbs, Taylor, Mixon, and Ramondre, that's 4 RBs in the top 120. And I think for Mixon, it should be 3 RBs valued in the top 50, really, in terms of how I view them. Obviously, injury aside for Mixon. And then receivers, if Josh Palmer is my wide receiver 6 and Mims is my wide receiver 5, I'm still on schedule there. So I don't know, man. I like the team is good. Like I'm just like confused by the team feeling kind of done at this point when I still have 4 picks left. That's okay. Got stuck with an unstacked Knicks today. Got sniped on Dobbins, Ingram, and Mims. Well, the good news, you have late Pat Bryant. You also have late Troy Franklin, who I think, again, more of a bet than I would have thought with the kind of steam for Pat Bryant and all that. But like that's now just a ambiguous spot. And Franklin's in year 2, I think more equipped to spike in a meaningful way. I think if you have Knicks, I would take, especially in a 20-round format, I would take Troy Franklin more. I think one more receiver would be nice here. RB would also be okay. I think Roshan RB5 as the power back and the third down back potentially for Chicago. Like the role is actually still likely going to be pretty good for him. Diami Brown, I like a good amount too. I'll go Roshan RB5. Keaton Mitchell with his preseason showing as well, I think would have been a viable kind of hoping he spikes occasionally play here. But I like Roshan a little bit more. Think that he's undervalued because people just don't know. Like they think Monengai is going to win a role that matters, and I'm not sure that's the case. I think he'd be good contingent value if Swift went down. But really the fact they've already said like Roshan's your power back, your goal line back. He's also likely your pass protection back. Like that's a real role, and now he's going for free as like a 200 level pick. I just don't think Roshan is a bad one. I didn't take Diami. I took Roshan. But I love Diami. Diami's one of my highest exposed guys. All right, so the team right now, a 3-5-6-3. We got Fields, Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Sam Laporta, our semi-elite tight end, Romo Dunze, just really good values on Odunze, Mixon, Goff as well. Mims right at ADP, Stroud a good value, Ramondre a good value, Palmer at ADP, Henry a little bit of a value, Mason Taylor I did reach for, and Roshan we're getting after ADP as well. Happy with the team. I hope I build a team this good on Stochastic later. I like the team a lot. And I think it really does speak again. I took 2 RBs to start. Like I fully RB piggied. I get it. I deserve the gift that I've created to shame other people. But now this is me. I'm just taking RBs early. The big difference is though that when I take my RBs early, as you can see with my team here in the 5 hole, I'm slamming receiver after that. Took 4 of the next 5 rounds receiver. I also got guys as decent values. McLaurin in particular at this stage, I think is relatively a good value. Going behind Hunter, going behind Ridley, going behind Pickens. Odunze at 77, also a value. Did reach for Fields, so did a little reachy, but then soaked the value with Mixon, soaked up some value with Goff, a lot of value with Stroud. Oh, cool stuff. Drafted on DraftKings. Good time. I'll stop playing the RB Picky gift that I was apparently playing over the team the entire time. My bad. But a couple more picks before we go, and then we'll do drafters. Probably we'll enter the room around round 19 or so. But I will key you guys in when I enter the drafters room, so get ready for that. All right. And shout out to whoever deposited on Drafters. Seriously, somebody did. So shout out to you. I can't see it on the desktop version. I should see it on mobile. Shout out to... If you deposit live on stream on Drafters, I'll give you a shout out. I need to get some signups on there before we close out the year. Shout out Matthew. Matthew depositing on Drafters. Love to see it. And thank you for supporting the show by doing that. Sean Tucker goes. Okay, so again, Roshan Johnson at pick 197 or Sean Tucker 1 round later at pick 210. I think that's a very obvious win for Roshan, and yet people don't want to take Roshan. So that's that. That's how I feel about that. All right, 3-5-6-3 build. We definitely want to get some receiver in. Torrey Horton still appreciably cheaper on DraftKings than he is an Underdog. Not really sure why. Noel would have made sense as well with the Stroud stack, but at this stage, with what we know, Horton to me is a much more appealing click. He's moved up the depth chart. He grades out well based on all the numbers. Frankly, thought he should have come out, in my opinion, he should have come out last year in the draft because he looked even better then. Hurt his knee this year, part of why he went down so much. But Horton caught a touchdown in the preseason, has looked good. He and Isaac Tesla are the two guys I think now really your best round 18, 19, 20 picks if you can get them there. A little bit earlier in Underdog. I'm glad you try to use it every time that you deposit. I don't think it works that way, but I appreciate the effort regardless. On a lighter note, watching any South Park, is this draft not light enough? I have been watching South Park. I agree. The first episode I thought was a little more coming heavy after him in particular. The second one, I thought the Christy Gnome bit was funny. It does feel a little bit like I worry they get a little bit too lost in the trying to snipe for people, the political thing a little bit too much. Like, not obviously, look, I'm cool with that side of things, obviously. But it could be an overkill if they do it the entire year, but it's been good. I don't think they need to take off 2 weeks every episode, though. It's kind of annoying. But they're getting the biggest ratings they've gotten in years. So I'm happy for that as somebody that's watched South Park since I was like a middle schooler. And it was like the cool new edgy thing. All right. What do we get on the way back? We're good at QB. We're good at tight end. Frankly, feel good enough that receiver and RB as well. But these guys are thinking about it in front of me. Take Kyle Monangai. All right, Jackson Dart. That works. Come on. Should be a crime to use a 30-second clock in the last 2 rounds. Should be instant jail time. Unless you're streaming, then I get it. Then it's totally fine. All right, so Jalen Noel is here. Based on what we've seen so far, I'm going to look at the news item. Like 2 for 16, playing behind a bunch of people. I think Tesla's going to be a starter for Detroit. I think Tesla's moving up the depth chart enough where he should be able to pass Tim Patrick pretty early in the season, if not, the entire season. We have Jared Goff here, so I'm going to go Tesla for another receiver. So we got into 8 receivers. We're taking Horton and Tesla late, 2 of my favorite late picks. Like this team, I'm also going to enter on drafters now if you want to play along with me so you can see me do it here on Stream Live. Got 5 spots available here. I'm going to take one of them. So 4 people can get in with me on drafters while we wait for this last round on DraftKings. Again, drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. Get in the mix here. Lots of your favorite streamers are drafting on drafters right now. I know Liam's doing it. Davis is doing it. I don't know anybody else. I'm sure somebody else is doing it as well. But check it out on drafters.com. And we'll get that draft going in a moment here. We finish out this one. Oh my God. I also can't click all my shit on StreamYard again. Won't let me scroll. I hate this. StreamYard keeps redesigning stuff, and I can't click like my drafters promo graphic now. I guess lucky you guys. I can't click my Discord promo graphic. So please join the channel. You gets you access to the Discord. $5 a month to join. You get all my news updates throughout the day. You'll see what I'm doing streams. When there's draft spots available in a room as well on stream, you get that as well in the Discord. So check it out. Promo code, not promo code Splash. Just join the channel and then click the link in the description. You get added there to the Discord. But fuck, man. I want to pull up the drafters graphic and I can't. I'd have to refresh the room to do it. You know what I could do? And enter another StreamYard tab, perhaps. Enter Studio. I can maybe do it this way. Yeah, this is good work. So I might be creating echo. Yeah, I'm creating echo. Fuck me. All right. Leave the room. There we go. We're back here. We're back to the normal one. Oh, but now I can't unclick this. All right. Well, there we go. So stupid. Why do tech companies ruin their products? This is what I'd like to know. StreamYard keeps trying to make improvements because they've raised the rate. If you guys don't care, sorry, it's a fucking 2.5 hour draft. StreamYard used to cost $20 a month, maybe even 15. Now it's like $50 a month because some people, I guess, use it as their primary source of income. People like me, people like a lot of your favorite streamers, guys like Pete. So point being is like they know they've got you by the balls now. And as a result, they keep trying to make improvements, but they also keep breaking things along the way. And it's really one of the biggest pain points for me as a streamer right now. I should be able to scroll and use my little silly graphics, you know? I don't ask for much. And the drafters room is filled, guys, so we'll head over there in a moment. Looks like I'll be picking in the not so glamorous 10 hole, so we got some time. Let's make this last pick here. Our guy Philly Phantom takes Harold Fannin. That's cool. Loreg, what are you doing? This could be a really big win for me here, depending on what this guy does. Come on. Come on, Loreg. Don't time out on Jalen Noel, you cockbag. Come on. Come on. All right, Noel comes all the way back. So I considered Noel before Torrey Horton because he correlated with CJ Stroud. Instead, we got him in round 20, which I think is fair. Jalen Noel has not shown enough in news or anything like that. So Jalen Noel, our final receiver, a 9-receiver room, 3-5-9-3. And we'll head over to drafters right after this. We got Justin Fields, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Sam Laporta, Ramon Dunze, Joe Mixon, Jared Goff, Marvin Mims, CJ Stroud. We didn't get any Chargers correlation on the way back for week 17. So that's the one thing that I fucked up a little bit here. Ramondre Stevenson, though, big value. Josh Palmer, like him. Hunter Henry was a value. Mason Taylor stacked up. Roshan Johnson, nice value on him. Torrey Horton, Tesla, Jalen Noel. Two of my favorite late receiver clicks. We got them. Now we're coming up at pick 10 on drafters. My Noel bags are irresponsibly high. Don't get why he goes so late because Christian Kirk has him buried right now. I think he could rotate in with Kirk, take some snaps away, but I don't think it's a guarantee or anything. Nico Collins here. Happy to start with him. I feel like I'm low on Nico across everything industry-wide, which is not one of my goals because I like Nico a lot. Yeah, Nico, I've got 8% across everything. A little bit more on Underdog, a little bit less on DraftKings, a little bit less on drafters. So happy to get Nico here today. Trying to push Terry into the 5th and nearly got it. Don't hate my draft. Was distracted for sure. That was the main snipe. Well, I mean, again, if it's after ADP, you can't control that. Snipes have to occur before ADP. I strongly believe that. That's one of my rules of thumb. But glad to see you. You're happy with your team, Philly Phantom, and I hope it does good stuff for you. Puka London coming back around. This feels unique. I don't think it necessarily is on drafters. This is fun. Nico and Puka, the two elite target earners, two guys who I think, if we're doing the mental math I sometimes do, two guys that'll be priced around $8K a week on DraftKings tournaments, I guess. I like the start. Again, would love to get an RB early on if we can. A lot of times on drafters when I'm picking these 10 to 12 spots, I'll get one of Henry or Achane. But they both went before I could pick them. So that's cool. Our guy Braden's visiting family to state that can't use drafters, but fun to draft also while you're drafting to get real-time train of thought. Sure. And I hope the family time is also good for you. Hopefully that's good family time. Sometimes you do family obligations and, you know, and you don't have a good time. That's the best way to say that. So I hope that's good stuff for you out there, Braden. But in this room, we got some of our regulars. Alan Furiyama is a regular, I think. Usually tweets me. M the Great, a regular. Some of you, I don't know. T. Kimball, I feel like is in a lot of my rooms, but I don't think he's a regular on Splash Play. But if you wish for a shout out and you're in the room, feel free to identify yourself and I'll point you out. Because that's the community we get here on Drafters, right, guys? You know, I can't pull up my Drafters graphic to promote still. I'm trying to get it. And there's no way it works. Good stuff. Good stuff, Drafters. Unbelievable. It also means I can't hit the exit video on the stream either. But I can pull up all the gifts I have. We got the Bonk Dog. We got Daffy Duck jerking off. We got the Zipline gift still. We got the nude egg. We got Pikachu. He's shocked. It's all I can click right now. I can also click my I'm leaving the stream graphic. You can Photoshop whatever you want in there. We've done it before. No fun Drafters chat today. Everybody's about business. Drafters ADP is getting a little bit wacky too. Garrett Wilson went pick 18. Chase Brown pick 22. Frothy ADPs on Drafters. And they update faster than Underdog too. Underdog is a bit of a delayed lead time for ADPs. DraftKings and Drafters update in real time. That's why you'll see more market movement on these sites usually. But yeah, Nico Puka start. I do like getting that. Just want to get something good at RB on the way back, and I'm not sure it's going to happen. There we go. Hampton goes. Kyron goes. Stinky. All right, well, I think we're just going to spam some receivers here. Bigger value on JSN. I'll take that. Doing the Rams double wouldn't bother me either. But I'd rather get JSN at this point. Another guy I'm absolutely low on as well. Wait, is that can't be right. I've got 5% JSN across everything. Tough ADP for me with JSN is the issue. Would rather take RBs here a good amount of the time. Would rather take elite QB also a good amount of the time. Huh. And Jalen has passed Jayden Daniels on this site as well. I feel like a lot of shit's moved on Drafters since Friday. I didn't do any Drafters drafts over the weekend, so I guess that's on me. Like this shit has shifted around and appreciably. A little bit of value on Kittle if I want to keep soaking up ADP value to be slightly unique. Going to get Jayden for the elite QB would not be bad either. But I'm going to go Kittle. I think at this stage, we've gotten little incremental values on Puka London Jayden. Nico Collins right at ADP. A little bit of value on JSN. A little bit of value on Kittle. I don't think you're going to get all these values in one room together very often. And the fact, too, that on Drafters, which is totally fair, and I do it too, people take RB earlier as well, so you're not getting a zero RB start this often. This team will be unique. You've got to get good RBs back at some point and hit some volume on it. But the team right now, Nico, Puka, JSN, George Kittle. I don't think that team exists very often across many platforms. I'm going to go. And this is the data from June still, I presume, because we didn't see any coming out after that. Custom combos. Nico Collins. It's not going to be a perfect one-to-one because this is old data and this is also DraftKings. So 9% of the time, Nico and Puka would occur on DraftKings drafts. What about Nico with... JSN 12% of the time? I mean, look, these are pretty infrequent combos relatively. Maybe not as unique as I thought they were in my head. But I think the combined uniqueness probably makes them more unique. Because JSN's usually going on this side of the board. Anyway, whatever. Dumb shit to think about. But guys, if you got any value out of this video, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, please hit that like button. And then if you're watching on oh, fuck, I can't even hit the graphic. I can't hit my flashing GIF because it won't let me scroll. Flashing GIF, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please leave a comment if you're watching after the fact. It goes a long way for me here. And motherfucker on drafters. Oh, they have weird little things I could click on their own thing. What's this? That's lame. That's a shitty graphic. It's not as good as this one. Who wants this? Oh, I can't delete it now? Delete. Go away. Hide it. There we go. Delete it. Okay. We're good. We're not good because I can't play the subscribe GIF, but we're good mostly. Is there a subscribe GIF over here? Here we go. Here, like and subscribe. This is the StreamYard version of it. There we go. Like and subscribe, guys. Doesn't feel very Splash Play Brandon. But if a flashing GIF tells you to do something, you better do it. Sure, it's not as good as the egg. The egg I still have access to. You can still look at the egg's asshole all day here. That's allowed, welcomed, encouraged. All right. James Cook goes, if I'd gotten Cook back at 58, the team would be singing. But we did not get that. If they force me to keep taking receivers, I'm going to keep doing it. If you give me a decent receiver at value, I'm going to do it. Chuba Hubbard does not excite me very much. Did safely seem to have Rico Dowdle at bay, though, based on preseason usage. I would say Chuba actually a bit of a preseason winner, even though I do not like clicking Chuba very often. Fuck it. I'm going to go Zay Flowers here. We're committed to 0 RB at this point. It almost feels like I'm doing something naughty because like I just don't do 0 RB teams that often. It's like, this is a real 0 RB team now. 4 receivers, 1 tight end, no RBs yet, no elite QB. This guy in the corner is just picking off RBs. This team is going to be awful, but he's doing it. All right. And Chuba comes all the way back anyway. Well, at this point, I think we just take Chuba. James Conner, not a bad bet, but Chuba 6 spots after ADP, I think is a better bet. So Chuba Hubbard, first RB off the board. The 0 RB run has ended after 5 rounds. So a Chuba Hubbard, Nico Collins, Puka London, JSN, week 17 correlation for Chuba and JSN. Zay Flowers, George Kittle. It's a dope team at receiver and tight end. RB1 Chuba does not feel like 2025, but it'll work. I am not going Huba for Chuba. No, the things for me that stand out the most is that number one, he was just not really that great with the volume he got last year. Like, it's good to get the volume, obviously. But Chuba, and I should move myself down here too. My bad. Chuba last year, 0.01 EPA per rush. So he was in the positive EPA per rush, despite the fact he had a ton of touches. So that's actually a good thing for him. But a negative 0.36 EPA per pass kind of screams that they want to mix in Rico as a pass game back. They want to use Trevor Etienne as that. And that's probably where he's got the most utility. Chuba Hubbard was not good in the pass game. He also had a 20% target per route run. That's fine. The red zone work was okay for Chuba. 3 a game in terms of run plays inside the 20. 0.7 pass plays a game inside the 20 as well. So that's pretty good work. I just think Rico Dowdle's better than him. I guess is really the main thing for me. Chuba also a 15% avoided tackle rate. That's good, but not great either. I just don't think he was special. He's getting paid about twice as much as Rico Dowdle, though not 10 mil a year is where Chuba's deal is for this year. But I don't know. Like, I think really the big thing for me is, like, I think like you're saying here, like Braden saying, I think Rico will take touches. I think Rico takes touches away. I think Chuba is a little bit more unstable or unstable as a lead back that people realize as well. Is not super talented, and they're paying him money, but it's not like incredibly large money. It's just bigger money than you would think a guy like Chuba would get. So I think he's sort of fragile in that respect. And Bryce too. Like, Bryce's upside probably includes taking a few more run plays away than he has in the past. But really the main thing for me is that Chuba, I think, like, if he's priced around James Cook should go ahead of Chuba, I think 100 times out of 100. Kamara, I think, should go ahead of Chuba pretty frequently as well. RJ Harvey versus Chuba. I'd probably go Chuba. James Conner versus Chuba. I did go Chuba. But that one I might be wrong about, honestly. I think Conner versus Chuba is a little bit tougher than I may have made that seem. Anyway, feeling good about the receivers. Need to make up a lot at RB here, so hopefully we'll get some values coming back. Eat that hot dog. That's true. The graphic of me, this famous graphic here. Eat a hot dog, eat a sandwich, eat a dick. Whenever I leave a stream, though, I'm doing one of those things. You know, that's I put up that graphic. That's what it's signaling. Kitty, please stop pushing me. I'm glad you're happy and sleeping, but I don't need you to shove me while I'm on stream. Ingram at 79 is an awful click. Why did that guy do that? 20 spots ahead of ADP? Stupid. Stupid thing to do. David Montgomery coming back. We'll soak him up as a value here. About a 7-pick ADP discount. Easy. Get a little theoretical leverage on Jahmyr Gibbs as well. And Montgomery, in my opinion, has just never fallen a room because of the fact that if Gibbs goes down, Montgomery is going to be easily a top 10 back in the league. Unless something really weird happens to Detroit's offense, changing over from Ben Johnson. Still going to be a team that runs a good amount, that also goes aggressively on fourth downs. That hasn't changed in the preseason with Dan Campbell still calling the shots on that. Montgomery is still a very good click overall, but in particular, if you're dead at RB like I am here, I think he's a really strong click. And here we'll get one of Aaron Jones or Brian Robinson. And that also looks good to me here. Aaron Jones goes, Brian Robinson available. Done and done. Because it took those 4 receivers early and the elite tight end with Kittle. Got to throw volume at RB after that, so that's what we're doing right now. So it's Chuba Hubbard, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson start, Nico Collins, Puka London, JSN, Zay Flowers, 4 receivers that are very elite, and then George Kittle here to round the tight end room. Got him as an ADP value as well. I think drafters people sometimes don't appreciate the concept of ADP value enough. Like, you should just soak up values more. And there are times where, like, I have, like, I pull up the Best Ball Explorer tool. Actually, I can show you guys that real fast because we're waiting. You can see my drafters drafts here. Like, in my most recent draft that I did on stream on Friday. Actually, this is last Tuesday, I guess, because I didn't import the ones from Friday yet. I picked up 80 spots of ADP value, like, in real time. Same thing for the draft I did before that. Like, and it's not falling knife plays either. It's not like plays that are dog shit. It's just because people get tired of clicking the same things on drafters. I think it's a really important thing to highlight here that, like, you just get in August, you're going to get more ADP value anyway across Underdog, across DraftKings, because you're getting kind of the casual drafters that don't really understand market pricing and ADPs. But on drafters, like, more reliably, you're getting an impossible amount of value sometimes. And, like, you should just soak it up. If if it aligns, like, you shouldn't keep taking RBs when you don't need them or keep taking receivers when you already have too many. But, like, in general, if you play the pockets right, you end up with rooms that, like, I don't think you can build on other sites. So maybe another part of the sales pitch for drafters as well. Promo code SPLASH, drafters.com. Of course, drafters app too. Green dildo would be the correct addition today. Sure. I don't think, for what it's worth, I'll go on the record as saying, I think it's really cornball to keep throwing dildos at the WNBA game. Like, I get like the younger Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I don't even know what the kids who are doing that are doing, what age they are. But, like, women deserve some respect. I don't know. It's like, it's really shitty, and it's like a stupid trolling, and it's like really juvenile trolling. One of my least favorite memes I think that's come across is the dildo thing, especially too because it's associated with, like, a crypto coin. Like, double fucking cornball. Not a fan of that one. Shout out guy Brandon Wagner, long time, my friend. No best ball for you this year. Oh, sad to hear that. But yeah, prep work, best ball goes hand in hand for DFS prep work as well. It's certainly, DFS pricing for week 1. Sure, some stuff that's not been captured yet by the preseason ebbs and flows. I can tell you I've not looked enough at the pricing for week 1. Besides when we looked at it on stream a couple weeks ago, I've not started my week 1 DFS prep even a little bit. No data out yet from anybody either, so that probably helps. right, what are we doing here? This guy thinking about it. Or he takes another QB. Awful team. Joe Mixon here again. I hate to keep beating the same drums, but if you understand how I draft, it's not going to look too different. Joe Mixon at pick 106 here. He's got a 102.5 ADP. We need RB capital. We now have, in my opinion, 4 legit backs that are deeply involved in their offenses. 3 of them are bell cow backs, whether they deserve it or not. Chuba Hubbard, Brian Robinson, Joe Mixon. If you want to downgrade Joe Mixon because of the foot injury for total points format, I would get it, but he's not likely to be on the PUP list. So Joe Mixon RB4 here. Great. Very happy to get that. At this stage, I mean, we've got the bet on Seattle, Cooper Kupp, another 10-pick ADP discount. Not going to betray. I'm a value-based drafter. I'm just soaking up these values here. Cooper Kupp at pick 111. That price is more than appropriate, especially when you've already got JSN on the team. So Seattle stack here now, 5 receivers: Nico Collins, Puka London, JSN, Zay Flowers, and then Cooper Kupp. Elite tight end with George Kittle. And we've made it up pretty well at RB, I think, with Chuba Hubbard, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, and Joe Mixon. Still tough for me to not have a semi-elite RB, at least up to James Cook, I think, in most builds. Want to get a guy who's part of that first group because I think that makes your team look better, whether it is total points format on drafters or it is, pod formats on DraftKings and Underdog. But that said, if this room is going to give me some weirdo values, big values on Chuba Hubbard, on David Montgomery, on Joe Mixon's a little bit of a value. Getting the Puka, Nakua, Nico combo is pretty unique. JSN is a value. Cooper Kupp was a big value. I like to see him. I've liked all the teams today. Funny part about those dildo throwers that they were found trying to sneak 5 into the jail. How are they sneaking them in? It is one obvious place they could go. Picturing people tuning in just see the dildo color. Well, yeah, like one of the various crypto betting sports books, actually might have been an offshore, had betting markets on what the color of the next one was going to be before they knew it was like the green dildo gang or whatever the fuck their crypto coin is. But there was like the biggest odds were on blue, I think, and green was like second best odds. So they probably wouldn't have had green be the second best odds if they knew. But yeah, it's stupid. I don't know. It makes me feel like the old guy at the party where you're like, like these kids shouldn't be throwing dildos, but like really that's fucking insane to do. It's insane to be sneaking dildos in, number one. I feel like back when I was a kid or like even whatever age like these guys are, I assume like early 20s kind of stuff, based on the guys that they've arrested for it. It's like when I was that age, I feel like people would be like, oh, it's so gay. What are you carrying around the dildo? Like what? But here they're like, oh, it's so funny. You've got dildos and you're throwing them at women's sports. Ha ha ha. What a hilarious meme. It's pretty cringe, no? I think it is. You don't have to agree. Yes, when sports, that's a good rule of thumb for anything. When sports books have props in the dildo, it's going too far. You could say the same thing about Gatorade, I guess, People willing to bet on national anthem lengths, stuff like that. Oh my God, dog, do we have to cuddle? Neediest dog in the world. Adorable kitty down here. The dog named Kitty, of course, if you're not familiar with these streams. She is sitting beside me, and now she has to have her head entirely on my lap because, God forbid, we are not attached at the hip. My Siamese twin dog. Hey, we got to start grabbing QBs soon. And by soon, I mean literally right now. CJ Stroud, come on down. Houston stack with Nico Collins, Joe Mixon on this team. Stroud, an obvious first QB to go to. Beyond that, we're really not competing for QB yet. Big shooter here. He's only got 4 receivers, but he takes Michael Penix. Why not? All right. I think at this stage, for me, Justin Herbert's the best click. I do need more at RB. I think Trey Benson, we didn't take James Conner. Getting some leverage there would be logical. The question really is, can I get 2 more QBs later on? I think I can. There's not a lot of stack partners left for the Chargers. So I'm going to go Trey Benson here. This will be the one time I don't soak up the ADP value. We just don't have any Chargers correlation. And I think that's the main thing for me. And even though I think we made it up pretty well at RB with the top 4, still want to make sure to keep pounding away at RB because we don't have an elite. And really, you do want an elite, I think, for total points format. So the team right now is CJ Stroud, first QB taken. RB, we've got Chuba Hubbard, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, Joe Mixon, and Trey Benson. Our receiver, Nico Collins, Puka London Jayden, JSN, Zay Flowers, and Cooper Kupp. And our elite tight end with George Kittle. Get very happy with the value of the team. Tacking more value on with Herbert, I think, would have been another way to play it. But really want to get the 5th RB in, I think, is really the main thing. Would have been rich if the offshore crypto company didn't pay out the dildo. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, too, I would think you run a decent risk of the bet getting canceled because of the fact that it was a concerted effort to only get green dildos in. So it'd be shittiest outcome. Like, I guess you get money refunded for the most part. If you somehow lose your money because you got the wrong color dildo, that would be a downer. And if you got your bet rescinded because you had the right color dildo, but they then knew it was a scam. Not great. The 5th element of green dildos. Sure. But yeah, I'll go on a limb and say we should respect women and not throw dildos out. I know. I know this is a hot take. I know out there you might listen to your other channels. You might go over to Andrew Tate's channel. He's going to be like, yeah, we should always throw dildos. I don't know what he sounds like. I've never listened to that content. But I imagine that's, it's not that far off, right? We should all women should always have dildos thrown at them. I'm sure somebody out there is saying, I'll go out on a limb and say, I respect the women in my life and I respect the WNBA players who aren't getting paid enough, frankly, to get dildos thrown at them. Yes, it's a hot take. It's a scorching hot take. Let's not throw dildos at women. You know what? I'll go one further. Let's not throw dildos at men. Let's leave dildos where they're meant to be. In the store, in the boudoir. That's what we call the bedroom, if you're being classy. Got Brandon Wagner. Welcome back to the Squirt Squad here. Appreciate your support as always, Brandon. Join the Discord, Brandon, too. You especially will probably get some value out of that. Check the football channel. You can catch up on pretty much every chat I've posted about the NFL season. Like a UK guy doing an Indiana accent. I don't even know what that would sound like. I don't no, I can't even. I don't even know what an Indiana accent would sound like. I can listen to Jeff Teague. He doesn't have one. All right, we've got 5 RBs, 5 wide receivers. QB's getting kind of dangerous here. QB's getting very dangerous, in fact, because Bryce Young went. All right. I'm going to go Pop Douglas to flesh out the receiver room a little bit. I'm going to have to reach for Sam Darnold here. Oh, this guy better not take Sam Darnold. If you fucking take Sam Darnold, I will find you, big shooter. I will spit in your face. I guess Geno Smith instead. Thank God. All right. I wasn't going to find him and spit in his face. That was an empty threat. Sam Darnold, come on down. We've got the Seattle bet, and fucking every QB got taken. Thought we would get Bryce Young back, but this guy took his 3rd QB. What QBs are even left at this point? I mean, Stafford is an obvious click for me later on. I think we'll still get to 3 here. But I was going to get Bryce Young over Darnold because I have concerns, like I mentioned earlier. Darnold could very easily get sat late for a total points format. Maybe that matters a little bit less because then you just need Stroud and whatever the 3rd QB is to get you across the finish line. But like if Seattle's not in the playoff hunt, it would be very logical to bench Darnold and not play him anymore. So that's sort of the main thing I have fear about taking Darnold as any sort of important part of any lineup, let alone this one where he's QB2, and I like the team a lot besides that. We got CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold's our QB room. Not my favorite QB room, have to admit that. This guy took Stafford? With what? Unstacked Matthew Stafford? Oh, this is not me hamming it up, guys. This is a real tilt. That's so fucking dumb. Oh, Fuckity fuck. 13 spots ahead of ADP for Stafford. Unstacked. Oh. Well, I guess that's why I got so many good values, because everybody else in the room was taking 7 QBs unstacked. So that's my fault. Motherfucker. Can do AR. That's really not guaranteed points either. When I really am in a situation like this, there is one player I would normally take, and I'm not going to say it out loud yet because I don't know what this room's going to fucking do. God damn it, man. Unstack Stafford, one of the worst plays in best ball. I will die on that hill. Like, you don't always need... he needed QB2, though, I guess. That's really his fault. He just didn't get a second QB. I guess I got to give him grace for that. He's got Burrow, and he had no second QB. But fuck, man. It's not like you're going to backdoor stack Stafford with anything of quality either. Get the AR jersey. God, I hate AR as a pick right now. And he goes anyway. Oh, good. You took AR too. Oh, why not? Take all the QBs, Yaks 23. Ooh. Fucking, I can't say the things that are coming in my head. Oh, fuck Yaks 23. One of my least favorite drafters that we've come across is Yaks 23. All right, we'll cobble something together here, I guess. Or not. I don't know. Oh my God, dog, you have to lick your pussy so loudly. I know I said I wouldn't throw dildos at any women today, but the dog is really loudly licking her vagina next to me, and I'll say it's distracting. We're going to take a third QB with Aaron Rodgers here. Can't even stack him up with Jonnu Smith at this point, but that's fine. Just want to get a third QB in because one of these guys is probably not going to start the entire year in Sam Darnold, and that's how it feels. Hit him in the chat with something passive. I mean, the thing is, it's his third team he's drafted on the year. Like, he's probably not a great drafter. And frankly, his team was fine besides that. It's not great. It's actually pretty actively bad. But it's not, like, it could have been worse. But fuck, man. I'm not going to take a fourth QB, I'll tell you what. We'll take something here, though. Fucking an RB or wide receiver. Quinshot Judkins down to 170. He's been undraftable for me since the charges came out, and I've stuck to that. Hopefully you guys have as well. Sixth receiver. I still like Leggett. People are really into Jalen Coker because he caught the touchdown in the preseason game. And also, you know, he was in the mix. Like, he had one long play too. Like, Coker looked good. I'll give him that. Coker also made those plays after Leggett, in particular the touchdown. The touchdown was after Leggett got kicked out of the game. I'm pretty confident in that. So for Leggett, he's still your wide receiver 2 for Carolina. Thielen isn't going to be doing anything in the preseason. So, like, of course, Coker's going to spike there. But people are somehow penalizing Leggett because Coker spiked, and I don't get that logic. Leggett at 183 here, just needing to get some more in at receiver is really the main thing for me. But I think Leggett's now suffered way too steep of a price tag drop where he was going to the 130s at one point. Now in this room, I get him at pick 183. And I think it's because of Coker, because he's fallen in a lot of rooms I've been in since the preseason games this weekend. I don't think that Coker's fate is tied to Leggett. Coker's fate is tied to, does he pass up Thielen, is really the main thing there. But yeah, Leggett at this point, I think a good click. Doesn't excite me too much. No, I really haven't tilted on stream in a while because I've said it before on stream. I would ham it up because some people found it entertaining. But this year, too many people get like butthurt about it and they like get fucking annoying. So I just stopped doing it as a bit. This one I'm annoyed by though because it just didn't make sense in this room. But whatever. Still best ball for you. But we don't do cartoonishly angry anymore because people on Twitter are too dumb to get it. Sorry to you guys watching on Twitter, but that's literally the reason why. It's not worth getting angry tweets about from morons. Is sort of the thing. This guy deserves it though. But he's only had 3 drafts. What are you going to do? Judkins out of your best ball rankings. He'd be in your, yeah, he could be in your dynasty ranks. I assume he's going for free in dynasty, which he should. But like his career is like his career is thrown off the track now pretty majorly. And for a team like Cleveland that is already throwing out much more expensive players with the bathwater, with Deshaun Watson, you get rid of Judkins at this stage, it doesn't really do anything to you. I think he'll play in the NFL at some point in his career. But like you're now talking about, he missed his window here of good draft capital. You come in, you're trusted. He's already lost trust before he's even played a single down. I don't think Judkins, even in Dynasty, to be a player I'd be stoked to have. If he's free, though, you'd take him and hold him. All right, we need a second tight end. We need more at RB as well. I do think Justice Hill counts as more at RB. I think people are going to read the situation with Keaton Mitchell the wrong way. And I think Keaton Mitchell, did he already go here? Yeah, Keaton Mitchell went in round 15. So, like, this is a really important thing. Justice Hill is still your third down back. He's still your down and distance back, your long down and distance back. Keaton Mitchell will mix in for home run, gadgety plays, and he looked good in the preseason. I get it. But, like, Justice Hill, if Derrick Henry goes down, they're probably going to bring in another back. So, like, wouldn't say Justice Hill is like your contingent play, but he's the play that will get work whenever those game situations require it. And I think people get too excited over the fact that Mitchell showed something in the preseason, but it doesn't change how the team is constructed, where they've been pretty abundantly clear that Mitchell had to earn a role behind Henry, behind Hill. That's what Mitchell's fighting for. Hill has the number 2 job. You should take Justice Hill more. It's really the main takeaway I would have. Tight end at this point, we just want to get anybody in. Mike Gesicki counts as anybody. So I'm going to go Gesicki here. Tight end 2. So the team right now, we have 3 QBs after getting ungodly sniped in this room. CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers. We have not stacked up with anything real yet. Chuba Hubbard, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, Joe Mixon, Trey Benson, and Justice Hill. Justice Hill, a weak RB6 for this team, but I think we're going to get to 7 or 8 RBs today. Receiver, I think we're pretty good. We could certainly take more, but I like this top 7. We have Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, JSN, Zay Flowers, Cooper Kupp, Demario Douglas, a.k.a. Pop Douglas, and Xavier Leggett. Tight end, elite tight end with George Kittle, Gesicki. So I think at least one more RB, at least one more tight end. Depending what's available at RB, I wouldn't mind 2 more. But I think we're going to go one more RB, one more tight end. Worried you're too heavy on Hill. I mean, you definitely could be. Like, you should take stabs at other guys as RB6s. But Hill will give you 15 points if I had to guess in PPR 3 times this year to 5 times. Who else in this range can do that just based off of like not needing somebody to go down? I think Marshawn Lloyd, who went already, would be one of those guys. Sean Tucker, maybe. But that's about it in this range. I think we'll hit that upside frequently. I mean, Kareem Hunt was safely behind Pacheco in the Chiefs' first game. I guess you can make the case he'd be a guy that could give you that in certain game scripts where he's probably your red zone back. But I don't think Hill will ever be a click you'd regret unless he were like your RB4. And then it's like I would have a lot of issue with it. If he's RB6 and you have like good guys in front of him, he'll spike enough that I don't think you'd regret it. Lloyd juking people out of their boots in practice today. Lloyd, yeah, Marshawn Lloyd, we didn't talk about this today, but, you know, not a winner of preseason, but a winner in general. He's back in practice. So the groin injury for Marshawn Lloyd, people overreacted to. He needed to get moved down the depth chart behind Emmanuel Wilson in that period. So that's not, you know, great for him necessarily. But Marshawn Lloyd represents something that the Packers have wanted since they drafted him, that they haven't had in that backfield, which is a guy who's got elite, you know, juice, really, avoided tackle rate in particular, or he was like a 40% avoided tackle rate guy at USC, playing not a bell cow workload, but getting meaningful work. He's got to stay healthy. It's going to be a sweat every single time with that part of things, but I still think Lloyd is a worthwhile click. And he went around 17 here, so if he's going around 17, that's a good price tag for him. But in 20-round drafts, if he's hanging around till the end, you should absolutely be taking him. Pat Freiermuth went, who would have been a logical pick for me with the Rodgers late stack here. We won't get that. Roman Wilson goes as well, so we won't be able to get him with it. But, well, all right, we got a third tight end we could take if we want. This guy takes Dalton Schultz. Are you fucking kidding me, man? This has been simultaneously a very good draft and one of the more annoying drafts I've had on stream this entire year. I'm going to go Calvin Austin here. We'll get some Pittsburgh correlation because we've taken Freiermuth away from us. This guy sniped me one more time on the way out. He also don't have Jonnu Smith. He got taken a little bit earlier than usual at pick 177. Schultz gets sniped here. Motherfucker. I get the guy wanted a third tight end. But really, unbelievable. I think I'm just going to stick with Kittle and Gesicki for this. I'm going to take an RB that I can guarantee you probably haven't seen taken on stream at all. That said, this guy is in the mix and getting some positive quotes from the coaching staff. Kenneth Gainwell gives us a little bit more for Pittsburgh stuff. He doesn't get drafted very often. RBs at this point, I guess I can't show you anymore. Really nobody else at RB I'd want, so I'll take the shot on Gainwell, guy I never draft because everybody else I would have considered taking is already gone, so we'll go Gainwell. So the final team here is a 3-7-8-2. We did go 0 RB for this one, so it's CJ Stroud, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers. Team got sniped to death, but we still have stacks for every QB, so that's okay, I guess, but a Darnold, Stroud, Rodgers team is not really the QB room I want to have for myself. Not that a Darnold, Stroud, Stafford team would have been that much better, but at least it would have been more logical. This late Pittsburgh stack is like fucking nothing. At RB, we got Chuba Hubbard, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, Joe Mixon, Trey Benson. I think that top 5 makes up for the 0 RB start. That said, Justice Hill is RB6, and this team I do think is a little bit weak. Just the RB room up top is not as great as it could be. One more guy in the Benson range I think makes this room make a little bit more sense. Kenneth Gainwell, again, rounds out the room here. He has gotten some good coach speak. I think he's probably live to take Jaylen Warren's role if something happens to him, but he's also live to take some work away that just kind of falls between the cracks of Warren being tired and Caleb Johnson not being trusted in pass pro. Gainwell is trusted in that and has been everywhere he's been, so it seems to be the case so far based on what Pittsburgh's saying about him, and Arthur Smith had some nice quotes within the week about Gainwell. A receiver, Nico Collins was stacked up with Stroud. Puka London we could not get stacked up because people wanted unstacked Matthew Stafford because they were so brilliant. JSN, Zay Flowers, Cooper Kupp is wide receiver 5. That works. Pop Douglas is 6. Xavier Leggett is 7. Like the receiver room a lot. Calvin Austin, I think, was luxury and we maybe didn't need him. Could have taken a third tight end. George Kittle, Mike Gesicki are 2 tight ends here. For a total points format, 20 rounds, I think a third tight end would have been fine with the elite tight end. But Freiermuth didn't come back. Jonnu Smith wasn't there, so our other Pittsburgh stack partners who would have made more sense were not options. So the team works. The QB room, though, frustrating. And that's sort of all I could say about that. At this point, do we think Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis are worth 20-round clicks? I have trouble believing they're both done. Cooper was one of the worst receivers in football last year, and Gabe Davis is still hurt. And teams that wanted to sign him have now filled the spots, or he wasn't healthy enough for them to sign him. I wouldn't take either. But, you know, it's a 20th round pick. If you're talking 20th round picks, though, like Kayshon Boutte might start for New England. Ayumanor has youth and upside on his side. Adonai Mitchell has been legitimately very good in preseason. I would take these guys over the vets whose names you know, who are not likely to get a spot. Keenan Allen is a legit, significantly better player who, like last year, and those guys, that's why I took a ton of Keenan Allen late in drafts across every site. I just don't think Amari Cooper, I don't think Cooper gets signed. And yeah, Gabe Davis visited teams and didn't sign, which is not a good sign either. Take a young guy. Take a young guy over those guys. That'd be my belief. But that's a try draft-a-thon, guys. We got it done here. Again, weird stream here. No LED lights behind me. My fucking thing I can't click out either. But appreciate you guys showing some love. Hit the like button, subscribe here, even though I can't flash the GIF that tells you to do so. Your engagements go a long way for me here. There's like legitimately 100 hours of best ball content every single day that I'm swimming upstream against. I still show up and do the work here, show you guys my gambling, and you can do whatever you want with that info, as will always be the case. Listen to people, do what you want with it, but try to go with the best foot forward here like we do on Splash Play every single day. I'll be on Stochastic as well, doing one more DraftKings draft in about 50 minutes. So please join me on there later today on Stochastic's channel. I'll drop the link in the Discord as well and tell you guys how many spots are open if you are in the Discord. So make sure to join the Discord and get that. All you gotta do is be a member of the channel and get access to the Discord right away by clicking the link in the description. And it's $5 to join. Just supports the show here and allows me to paywall it so we could talk shit with impunity in the Discord without having to hear any bullshit. Make sure to play on Drafters, even though I can't pull up the graphic right now. I need to fucking... Hold on, I need to figure out a way to do this. But play on Drafters right now. Promo code SPLASH at drafters.com. You guys know the deal. Promo code SPLASH gets you a $100 deposit match, whether it is on the app or on drafters.com. And shouts to all you guys who have signed up. Your money will go further on Drafters, where it's a total points format. That's the big thing on there. But also, you will get a shot at... Really, the overlay on there is a big part of things, where if you finish... Let's say normally you'd finish top 300. Because of the overlay that's going to happen on Drafters, what it looks like right now, the tournament is even halfway filled. You're going to probably end up moving up 100 spots in terms of where you finish in the payouts. I also finished top 100 for that reason, the overlay on Drafters before, doing only 30 entries on stream. Last year, finished top 10 in playoff best ball with only 3 entries on stream. That's what you get on Drafters, the total points format. So check it out, drafters.com, or download the Drafters app. They're the presenting sponsor of Splash Play, and I really would appreciate it if you guys have not signed up on there to go sign up on there now. And I'll be back later today on Stochastic, so come join me on there. Gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time. I'm going to pull up a second StreamYard window so it actually exit out of the stream here. Let me see. Mute this. Mute this. All right. That's hopefully this is not giving you crazy echo. If it is, I apologize. But I'll be back with you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck, and see me on Stochastic in a little bit. And here's the exit video that I now can pick up. Oh, also here's the DraftKings or the Drafters thing. There we go. But here's the window. See you guys soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.